welcome to the How Long to Beat podcast, the podcast by the How Long to Beat community, and for it, or so I'm told. I am one of the 4 hosts of the podcast, Frozen Roy, and we've got some big announcements, such as my co-host, Matt.
I'm announcing that I am here. Hello.
Leah.
Hello.
And for the first time in a little bit, we got Diallo as well.
It's me, the big announcement himself.
That's right. The big man of announcements. You might be wondering why we have big announcements. That's because today's discussion topic is going to be meaningful and big game announcements throughout history, be it our personal history or if we want to just talk about one that happened.
Funnily enough, I did not make the connection.
Oh.
Which shows you how slow my brain is operating this morning.
That's fine.
Hey, it's not about how fast the brain thinks, it's about how good the thought is. You know what I mean?
Damn, deep.
But before we get into the discussion topic, we've got to go into the beaten, retired, and played segment, starting as per usual with the beaten segment.
True, and it's only 2 people here that have something to say, you and me, Roy. And since you did the intro, I'm gonna, give you a break, and I guess I'm gonna start with my beaten games. And one of which I must apologize to our listeners. I forgot to mention this one in the last episode. I made a grave mistake, I guess.
Oh, no,
but I have another. Yeah, truly a travesty. I have another another game of the Flash game bundle that was talking about last time that I missed, which is a shame though, especially because it was actually a good one. I played a little thing called Bird on Bird by a Newgrounds user called Star Blinky. It's a recent release in 2022. And it shows you how far Newgrounds, I keep talking about Newgrounds in each episode lately since we did the Flash game episode. But Newgrounds, it's great that it's still going and it is going with the times despite the demise of Flash, still living well and good. This one is also a good example because this Flash game has full-on controller support, like native controller support. You don't have to fumble with anything. It just recognizes your thing and it's good. It's one of the modern features that Newgrounds brings if the developer, enables it. And very much appreciated with this game because Bird on Bird is a platformer, a puzzle platforming game that is very much inspired by the Yoshi riding mechanic in Mario games. The whole, the way that you in old Mario games, especially, you were able to use, Yoshi to basically get a sort of double jump by jumping off his back, like over an abyss, abandoning Yoshi, but getting further in the level or something, that sort of idea. This game kind of works all around that mechanic, though you control a featherless bird in this game, and you can jump on other birds that have feathers and make use of that stacking ability. You can stack a bird on a bird on a bird, and eventually it's like you're riding 12 Yoshis or whatever, and you can use each of them to get an extra jump when you have to get across a big abyss or something. They also have a sort of floating mechanic, which is very close to the fluttering mechanic that Yoshi has in Mario games. So like I said, very closely inspired by that. And this game gives you just a bunch of fun stages where you have to use your brain and see how you can use the resources, the birds that you have in your resources, I guess. The birds that you have available in that level to actually get to the exit with a specific amount of birds. Of course, you get bonus points if you get to the exit with even more birds than is required and that sort of thing. It's all good and nice. A fun game that this is one of those things that I could see on an itch.io or whatever as a proper thing. Very much feels in line with what you would expect from a modern indie game, I feel. It seems polished for what it is. It's a Flash game that I wouldn't even guess that it's a Flash game and whatever that means. Like if I didn't know it beforehand. It's just a good game on modern Newgrounds that you can play for free. So Bird on Bird, look that up if you're into puzzle platformer games. And I think it's like a full hour that you can spend on this, depending on how far you want to get with the bonus achievements or whatever. It's good stuff. Good stuff. So that I forgot to mention last time. What I actually did beat from the last episode to this one, it's 2 games, one of which should already be familiar to the listeners of previous episodes. I finally beat Don't Stop Girlypop, the frantic pink Y2K style arena shooter, which in a way I got through, I guess, quicker than I expected. I mean, it is like a 6-hour campaign or whatnot, although it has a big focus on replayability with its speedrun, categories and whatever. So if you wanted to spend more time with this, you definitely have stuff to do. I was good with just beating the campaign, the story, which also ends in an obvious cliffhanger to make a sequel optional, possible, which I would like to see. This game still rules. I have talked about it a bunch. I have to say, though, the final boss fight was a bit too much of a breeze to me. I actually was surprised that previous boss fights were a bit more involved and threatening, I guess. The final boss fight was just kind of fine, didn't feel too much like a special thing either. So it actually wanted me to not end in that open ending for a sequel. I actually would have liked it to go on for I don't know, a bigger bang or whatever. But that being said, it did. It's not a perfect game. I did complain about some of the platforming in a previous episode, but it is still the aesthetic is strong enough to make it interesting, and mechanically, it is obviously a game that has ambition that is, I think, fulfilled more than enough to actually make it a worthwhile playthrough if this is the vibe that you enjoy getting into, the aggressively pink Y2K aesthetics. Like, it is a cool creation that I hope is successful enough to spawn a sequel. But I gonna go and continue with some more chill games in the future, I believe. This was definitely an outlier in the things that I've been playing recently. The other game that I have beaten, but I could have also put the next game into the playing tab because I'm not done with it yet. I'm gonna return to it throughout the month.
Yeah.
But I have technically beaten the current How Long to Beat community game of the month, and I believe the first ever racing game that has won the title game of the month. Pretty big deal, and I want to congratulate Roy for being the one that nominated this fantastic game. Was pretty exciting that we got that going.
We got
also
the
just funny
going.
that. Yeah, it's actually funny that we talked about racing games as a game of the month back when we had Knalp as a guest for the game of the month episode and whatever. And it's funny to see that it did get some traction in the community so that we had like a full handful or like I think 6 or 7 games, racing games on the last game of the month poll and whatever. And it was actually really exciting.
It's our influence.
Yeah. And what won was, as said, Roy's nomination of Ridge Racer Type 4 on the PlayStation 1, which has been mentioned on this podcast plenty of times before also. So not entirely something new on here. But I have said before, I enjoyed the original Ridge Racer years ago quite a lot, and I was always interested in playing one of the sequels or whatever. And so, yeah, this being the game of the month, it was actually very fun to actually get to this, which is it's Roy's favorite in the series. And it's also, I think, like generally one of the more popular ones in the Ridge Racer series. I think it's rated pretty highly. And I beat this in the sense that I went through the campaign on normal difficulty, which I was shocked, I guess, kind of surprised that it was much, much easier to get through than the original game. I really remember, like, it's funny to me, the original Ridge Racer debatably only has one racetrack that you go through 4 times with like some slight variations, and then you get a credit roll. And even just this one track 4 times slight variations was such a memorable playthrough because from my memory, the difficulty was high enough that I really had to practice and hone in on the track until I finally won the races and the requirements. With Ridge Racer Type 4 on normal difficulty, much more tracks in this one, much more variety in the track design as well. But like much less difficulty. It was actually a breeze getting through this. I only had to redo one of the races. But like, I mean, on one hand, I do enjoy a chill racing game, so this is not a complaint. And this game is cool. It has like 90s Japanese arcade racing games had such fun stylistic choices from the menu designs up until the racetrack environment designs and whatever. There's like a specific colorful like candy store kind of thing going on that's just really enticing to roam around in. So these tracks are really pretty. They are very fun to go through. I did have, my favorites and whatnot, which is always like a strong point in racing games because they don't blur all into each other, which is nice. They have character, personality. And it's actually funny that they have between races you talk to an NPC in like your racing team's garage who walks on your car and whatever, and they try to put like some dramatic story for that character that goes all over the place, even though it's all limited to these tiny little text blurbs between races with no consequences at all to the actual racing. It's really funny.
They
but
connect two of the stories together, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, okay, yeah. But yeah, ultimately, this is a cool game. Oh, the one thing that I have to mention though, Ridge Racer 1 is kind of like well known for its notoriously rigid drifting mechanic, where once you initialize a drift, you are like stuck on like a guardrail. It doesn't matter where on the track you are.
Much in Ridge Racer 1.
It's very it's like a crucial thing to master in the original Ridge Racer, but it is a very awkward mechanic. And here it is actually like the mechanics are definitely improved and more expanded to give you more control, but it is still kinda there. It still does feel like a Ridge Racer game because when you drift, you are still kind of on a specific trajectory, a bit of a rigid trajectory. But again, you do have a little bit more control than no control at all in this game. So it was actually kind of pleasing in how it was changing things without losing that notorious Ridge Racer feeling. I actually enjoyed that. So yeah, I beat this on normal difficulty for the credit roll, but because that was so easy and because it is such a short thing, it took me just over an hour to get through this. I definitely do want to at least give the hard difficulty a shot as well, which I'm gonna do before the month ends. Also, of course, since this is game of the month, it would be nice to have more than one session and more than one like paragraph to say about it on the forums or Discord. So definitely want to spend more time with this. Yeah. And
So
that is all that I've beaten. Yeah. You go ahead.
My one bean game is Ridge Racer Type 4 as well, so I'm kind of just going to siphon off yours to talk.
Yeah.
I would definitely... So what I'd say about the game is that easy and normal are quite easy. When I first played the game, I beat both of those. I did not restart once, kind of thing. So I think for people who play racing games and aren't new to it, they might kind of have some difficulty, but for people who've played it a bunch, have racing game experience, it won't be hard. It's when it gets to the higher difficulties, it gets pretty difficult. Like, You beat the normal campaign, and I beat it around an hour. It took me 3 hours for the hardest difficulty, to give you an idea.
Oh, okay.
Because some of those tracks, for me, it was heaven and hell. That was the map, the race, that just kept screwing me over and was so hard to beat.
I could see
The
that,
times
yeah.
the toughest part about it on higher difficulties is those damn small tunnels, because if you don't time stuff right, you'll be behind a car and either need to brake or run into them for a time loss, and then it can screw up your whole race, in my experience. I won't go into this too much because I have talked about it a lot. I agree a lot with the vibes, those 90s vibes. I feel like this is like, I made a comparison when I reviewed this game a long time ago. I feel like this game and Street Fighter 3 feel like the perfect turn of the millennium kind of games in terms of the vibe and how they're presented and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the way that the last track is on New Year's Eve as midnight goes, and on the last lap there's the fireworks firing off, and
Yeah.
That's just perfectly fitting all the themes together. It's fun. I feel like one reason this game can't be easier than Ridge Racer 1 is the fact that, personally, I found Ridge Racer 1's drifting mechanics not just tough to master, but also just inconsistent and kind of bad.
Sure, yeah.
I feel like a big thing with Ridge Racer 1 is there's so many times I will move the control stick and do all that to where it should stop my drift, and it doesn't stop my drift. And then if I try to do anything, I careen into a wall, and on high difficulties, that just can completely end a run. And I feel like that happens a lot less. But I'm glad to see it as Game of the Month. I'm hoping a lot of people will try it out, and I think this is a real big one. I did enjoy that we actually got people to get in on our racing game bullshit after last time.
Yeah.
I will note the only thing I beat was easy, and unrelated to the game. One thing that annoyed me is I was trying to set up retro achievements for this because I've had retro achievements around but never set them up, and then I had to get a new version of RetroArch, and then it won't read my control stick. And I probably spent longer setting all that shit up than actually beating the game.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. Oh man.
If you ever wonder why sometimes you might prefer not to emulate something, sometimes it can just be a bit of a pain in the ass on the first setup kind of thing. But
yeah, sure.
I do like to go easy, normal, hard, expert, so I'm just gonna try to go through all that throughout the month. We'll see if I get through that expert again, though. It was fucking hard.
But speaking of the final race on New Year's Eve, first of all, it was very funny actually because with each race it gives you a specific date and time, and there was like no reason for it. It just went through the days of a year, I guess, and then it was there all just for the payoff, I guess, for the last race to be on New Year's Eve, 15 minutes before midnight. I wish though they actually had timed it so that it was in 50 minutes the fireworks go off, but obviously it's just scripted to like the last lap in a specific turn or whatever. Still very fun, but similar to Don't Stop Girlypop, where the final fight was a little bit underwhelming. I was very surprised when in Ridge Racer Type 4 the final race is basically just an oval with like an extra turn. It's very much like a NASCAR track, it feels. And it was not hard at all.
Some people have difficulty with it on higher levels because at the highest level you need to be really exact with how you drive it to an extent. But I never had difficulty with it, probably because I played so many NASCAR games.
Yeah. I was definitely thinking of you extra hard when that track came up. This is some Roy shit right here. Yeah.
I think the main time I lost it before expert was the very first time. Oh, I didn't lose actually, but the very first time I tried, I almost lost it because at first I didn't realize it wasn't a no drift track. I do think it's interesting that it throws like a no drift at you right at the end and switches it up.
I had exactly the same experience. That was my one redo because of the drifts that you didn't need to do. Yeah.
And then you're like, wait a minute, I can just drive.
Yeah. Right. Guess that's the beaten games. Oh shit! I'm looking at the notes, and on the retired section, it's also just me. So I guess I keep yapping.
Yep,
There's
yap
not too
away,
much.
yapper.
Yeah, there's not too much to tell about this one though. So I played a little thing called Gold Miner, which is another Flash game. This one, from what I could gather, released in 2003, and I played this one also inspired by the recent, Flash game discussions. This is still one of the last ripples of that. I believe in the Flash game episode, I very briefly, or maybe in the last episode of one of the Flash games, I very briefly mentioned a website called playit.ch, some Swiss German Flash game website that I used to play games on as a kid. And I revisited that for a little bit recently. And I noticed they have just now, they put that like a week or two ago on the website, a big old notice that they are gonna kill the website soon after like over a decade of being a German language Flash game repository. Apparently, they're gonna call it quits. I don't know why now, but I guess it's happening. And because of that, I was kind of like perusing. I guess. And I was kind of perusing just like the most popular Flash games on the site to see if there was anything I might remember from back in the day or whatever. And there was this Gold Miner game, which I do remember from back in the day. Apparently, people must have liked this. There's a purchasable remake on Steam right now that is not even like visually much changed or whatever. It does have the same simple line art look of this ancient Flash game or whatnot, which is curious. But this game is not very interesting. It's like a 2D, like what are those claw arcade machines? Like it's that on a 2D plane where you in a specific amount of time have to drag out all the golden nuggets from the earth and like avoid all the worthless pieces of rock or whatever. Eventually you get like levels with like little rodents, like moles running around or whatever. You can find little diamonds that are really hard to catch with your claw or whatever. Minimal changes. There's a little bit of an item shop with some upgrades, but it's all kind of like meaningless. I made it through. There's always a specific requirement to get to the next level where you have like this amount of cash in your bank account or whatever. And I was never even close to not reaching that. Even buying everything in the shop every single time you get to a shop, spending all the money that I had never any struggle to get to the next level. And it was just very, very boring. And I was kind of like hoping to just reach a final level and be done. But at some point, I just kind of gave up. And looking up later on, this has like 270 levels, and I played for an hour and made it to level 30. Like I could not imagine any human being on this planet actually going through this entire game, because of course, as a Flash game, there's no save feature or whatever. You have to sit through all of these levels, and I don't know how you would do that when 30 levels took me an hour. There must be some way to speed this up or whatever, but
just don't turn off your computer.
Yeah, I guess so. Either way, this is not the type of game that I would care to spend that much time with. An hour already surprised me. This was a very slow. This was another slow day at work. Don't tell my boss. But yeah,
You're fucked when your boss decides
retired
to see how long Candy Crush takes to beat on howlongtobeat.com.
Jesus Christ, yeah. That's scary. That's a scary thought. I don't even want to know that number. But yeah, that's Gold Miner, and that might be the last game I will ever play on playit.ch. I don't know when they are gonna take it down, but that website is could be gone any day, and I wonder how many people would actually, shed a tear over that. But I am one of them a little bit. That is a bit of a sad thing to disappear off the internet.
I'm guessing
yeah,
that
but
can't
that
just be like downloaded all the stuff that was on it or whatnot.
I'm sure like most if not all of these games are already in like all the big Flash game archives. I don't think they have anything like unique. They just grabbed shit from other places.
Fair.
So I don't think there's gonna be anything actually lost there. But yeah. So I retired that game, they retired the website. Let's
And we're retiring
They
this
had to one up
section.
you.
and we retired. Very nice, Roy. Very nice.
I'm happy to kick us off for the playing section. I've got a couple games to talk about this time around. The first one is a game that will be very familiar to podcast listeners, and that is Clair, Obscur Expedition 33. So, as predicted, when I was playing this game very aggressively towards the end of last year, and as predicted, when I went home for the holidays and was away from my computer, that did sort of slow down a lot of my momentum with this game. But I was determined not to let it completely fall by the wayside. So a couple weeks ago, I booted it back up for another session, and that is currently back in progress. I'm at the beginning of Act 3, and again, we've spent probably like 33 hours talking about Expedition 33 on this podcast. I won't go into super details, but
Oh,
I'm at the beginning of Act 3. I'm pleasantly surprised to see like how much more stuff there is to do. I haven't gotten that far into the act yet. I think I still have quite a ways to go before I finally hit the credits, but continuing to enjoy the game. Excited to see what's in store for the final act, and that's my thoughts on that so far. Just going to keep it snappy for that one.
Yeah.
The other game, or another game that I want to talk about that I have started since my last podcast appearance, is Paranormasight, The Mermaid's Curse, which is a sequel to what I consider a criminally slept on 2023 horror adventure game, Paranormasight, The Seven Mysteries of Honjo. So the premise of the original game is that you're in Tokyo, investigating something called the Rite of Resurrection, which, as the name suggests, is this ritual you can perform to bring someone back to life. It's kind of urban legend in the game, and there's some characters who are interested in doing this ritual to resurrect people. And eventually you sort of end up in a sort of death game where there are these like cursed stones that you can use to curse other players to death. If you meet various conditions, like there's various ways to kill them. It's a little bit like Death Note, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was thinking that, yeah.
Right. It turns into this kind of like gnarly competition because in order to complete the Rite of Resurrection, you have to acquire enough, I think it's called soul dregs, which you gain by killing other people. So it's this kind of very intense like battle for the right to perform this rite over the course of an evening or a couple, I forget exactly how long it takes place, but it's a very cool story, I think. Gameplay-wise, what I find really interesting about it is that it's told from the perspective of a couple different characters, and it's got a timeline with various branching paths. So kind of similar to something like 13 Sentinels, which I've said before is my favorite game of all time. You might be playing one character's route and then hit a wall and then have to jump back to another character's route or like go back in time to a previous branch. There's a lot of just like intertwining narratives going on, and I think the way that they all come together in the end is very, very interesting and concept. Also, just presentation-wise, I thought it was a treat. Like I mentioned, it takes place in Tokyo, where I was living at the time that I played this game, in a neighborhood that I actually used to go to semi-regularly, so seeing it recreated in-game was really cool for me.
That rules, yeah.
Right? Like they mentioned the Hokusai Museum in this game, which is actually one of my favorite museums in Tokyo, so, you know, getting the little shout-out to that was really fun, too.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Also, I think the development team around this game is kind of a star-stacked lineup. Notably, the character designer for this game, and I love the character designs, the art style, and their designs are really phenomenal. But the character designer for this game is also the character designer for The World Ends With You. So fans of that series are going to check this one out.
Oh, all right.
And something that I think that you all will appreciate is there's a little, I guess, side activity in this game that focuses around collecting bird stickers.
Oh. Oh, let's go. Yeah,
He
you got me
knows
interested
how to
now.
get
Right?
an investment.
there's a series of these bird stickers called mockingbird stickers hidden around the world as you're playing the game. They're dressed up as little gangsters, like various gangster attire. So as you're like, you know, talking with other characters, you might notice at the corner of your eye this little sticker hidden somewhere, and you click on it, and the goal is to try to find them all as you're going through the playthrough. They have cute little puns as well. Very, very nice little Easter egg that brings some levity to what could otherwise be a bit of an intense story, I guess. But I absolutely enjoyed the first game. Thought it was, you know, really fun to play, kind of spooky. I ended up 100%ing it. And I thought it was going to be sort of a one and done experience. And I'm glad to see that they've created a second game this time around. So the sequel, The Mermaid's Curse, takes place on an island in Mie Prefecture. And the opening concept for this one is you're playing as this pearl diver, and one day, as you're diving into the ocean, you find this giant hole. And in this hole, the protagonist sees this like ghostly version of himself. Ooh, spooky. I don't know where it goes from there, really, because I've only played the so far. But I have high hopes for this game, and I'm very excited to see where, if it's even like half as good as the first game, then I'm in for a treat. But yeah, again, I'm not super far in yet. I am playing in Japanese this time around. I played the first game in English, but I do like to play games that are set in Japan in Japanese, usually. And then also, because I'm not living in Japan anymore, I want to find ways to keep the language in my life. So it'll probably be my playthrough for this game. I'm predicting will be slower than my playthrough for the first game, but excited. Oh, also one thing to mention about the sequel is that there's this cool little diving mini game this time around where like you actually have to dive into the water and like collect little sea creatures, and you get points based on the rarity and the number of creatures you collect, which is going to be kind of fun, I think. There's always like, I think in the first game too, there was a lot of fun puzzles. There's really cool gameplay things happening throughout the course of the story. So I would 100% recommend checking out the first game. I'm sure that I will love the second game as well. So it gets my endorsement if you're into adventure games, or if you're into mysteries or horror, anything, the occult, anything like that. I would recommend checking out the Paranormasight series.
Collecting bird tokens.
Or if you're a fan of birds too, if you like bird stickers, for the bird lovers, this one's for you.
You definitely got me
I was
interested.
very
It does
excited.
look cool. Yeah.
It's really good. The soundtrack also top tier. It's really fun. But yeah, I haven't gotten that far in that game yet. A game that I have spent a lot more time on is UFO 50. So UFO 50 is this collection of 50 retro-inspired 8-bit games, which I think in and of itself would be a really fun, cool concept. What I think elevates this even more is that there's sort of in-game world building and in-game lore surrounding these 50 games. So they're created by this fictional studio called UFO Soft, developed for a fictional console called the LX. And all of the games have, I guess, a little bit of lore attached to them. They have fictional release dates all in the 80s. And if you go to their box art, you can read up a little bit about the quote-unquote development behind them. And what's really fun is, so the default order that the games are arranged in the collection is chronologically by release date. And so you can see, like, as you're progressing through the collection, how this fictional studio's development has evolved over time. And there's recurring characters too. Some of the games will end up getting sequels. And so having the games have sort of connections to each other as all products of this one fictional studio, I think is a really cool way to sort of tie the collection together and make it feel cohesive. Also, there's a huge variety of games within, or a variety of genres of games within the collection. So there's like racing games, there's arcade games, there's platformers, there's even RPGs, there's sports games, there's Metroidvania. So there's a little bit of everything, which I think is really, really fun. Because it's supposed to be sort of like 80s inspired, the controls are very simple. Most of the time you're just using a D-pad and maybe like one or two buttons. And it's really impressive to me how they're able to create such like fully fleshed out experiences with such simple control schemes. Yeah, and because it's kind of like more simple control schemes, I think a lot of them make for really good podcast games. Like I'll put on some TV in the background and just like play through a couple of the games as I'm good to multitask too, I would say. Because they're sort of retro inspired, they can be, there's a certain level of jank. For example, there's a couple different games where I was able to beat bosses because the boss ended up getting stuck somewhere. So it feels very true to to the inspiration. Also, a lot of them, the difficulty level can be pretty unforgiving for a lot of the games too. Like, you know, kind of emulating the style of those games back, the retro games that didn't really hold your hand. Yeah, a lot of them can be kind of brutal. Oh, one thing that I forgot to mention is that all of the games do have an ending, either like some sort of way to complete the campaign or something that's considered a win condition. So all the games have like some sort of ending. There's also something called cherries for all the games. So it's like beating the game plus meeting some other bonus, even harder objective. And there's also side missions for each of the games where you can collect little collectibles for this virtual, I think it's called a garden. It's kind of this virtual dollhouse that you have. So up to now, I have played 25 of the 50 games. I've only completed 4 of them, and I
Oh.
haven't gotten any cherries yet, but I have one game in progress right now that I should be able to get the cherry for once I wrap up. And there's a couple highlight games that I want to call out here that I've particularly enjoyed playing. I think if you are interested in playing UFO 50, the game that I would recommend you start with is called Pilot Quest. This is actually, I mentioned previously how some of the games are like sequels or have become part of a series. This is a sequel to one of the earlier games in the collection called Planet Soldath. So this game also takes place on Planet Soldath. And the reason that I think that you should start with this one first is because it's actually an idle game, which I think is kind of funny because right?
Yeah.
It's an IDLE game, which I think is kind of funny because as far as I'm aware, there weren't actually idle games in the 80s. So to like sort of take this modern game concept and apply it to a sort of retro framework is kind of cool to me. But yeah, so the original Planet Soldath was this kind of survival Metroidvania that you have to beat on a single life. There's no save points. If you die, back to the beginning. It was one of the earlier games that I played and I really enjoyed it. And then I kind of stumbled across this one afterwards. The sequel, Pilot Quest, has sort of 2 different gameplay aspects. The first one being this idle game where you have a settlement and you're trying to build up resources so you can build more facilities that generate more resources, so you can generate more facilities, more resources, et cetera, et cetera. That sort of like gameplay loop where you have like the multiple in-game currencies that you have to use to meet various achievements. So there's that half of the game. And there's another half of the game which is kind of an adventure mode. So you venture out into the overworld and you have to go around and try to collect parts for your ship to escape the planet, which involves you navigating through dungeons and fighting bosses and other monsters. And there's a lot of cool things to discover in that mode. That one has definitely hooked me. That's the one that I'm aiming for the cherry for. It's an idle game, and the timer for the game runs while you're playing other games in the collection. So I would recommend starting that game first, then maybe going to... I think it is worth beating Planet Soldath before you beat Pilot, or before you get super, super deep into Pilot Quest, so you can sort of appreciate the recurring monsters and characters in that game. But I would recommend starting this game and having it, like, having your progress as you're playing the other games in the collection. So that's one that I want to call out. My first love in the collection is this game called Party House, which was one of the games that actually got me interested in finally... Oh, I forgot to mention, I got UFO 50 for my birthday, so shout out to my brother for giving this to me. But one of the reasons that put this game on one of the reasons that UFO 50 ended up on my radar was because I watched a friend play one of the games in the collection called Party House, which is essentially a deck building game where your goal is to throw a party with a 4-star ranking. So how it works is there's 2 different phases. The first phase is the party phase. So you can invite a guest into your house. And each guest that enters the house has a certain stats associated with them. So they'll have popularity, money, and then also potentially trouble. So you keep opening the door and letting guests in until either you hit the maximum capacity for your house or you decide to just end the party for the night. And then once the party ends, you count up you total the stats from all the players. You count up all the popularity and all the money. And that is used in the shopping phase. The one caveat, though, is, so I mentioned previously that you can stop the party when you want to, or you can wait until you hit max capacity. The party will shut down automatically if you hit 3 trouble. So if 3 guests who have a trouble stat with them appear, you have three trouble guests in your house at the same time. The police come, they shut down the party, and you don't get any of the points that you've accumulated. So you get no popularity, no money. It's kind of like a night wasted. And you only have about 25-ish nights to hit your goal of throwing a 4-star party. So that's how the party phase works. After you've gotten your points from the party phase, shopping phase, which is when you can purchase other units that have sort of special abilities. So you use your popularity to buy units who can have power-ups, such as there's units that have a white flag, which cancels out 1 point of trouble, which makes it makes it possible for your parties to go longer. There's certain guests that have an ability that lets you preview who's going to come into the door next, and then if it's someone that you want to have in the party, welcome them in. But if you don't want, then you can sort of preemptively boot them out. There is another guest that has power where you can search for a specific guest. So if you're so close to completing, if you have 3 stars in your party at the moment, and there's that somewhere in your Rolodex you have a 4th star guest, you can use that power to sort of bring them in and achieve victory. There's a lot of strategy to it, and it's really fun. And then also, so that's what you spend popularity for. And what you spend cash for is to expand your house size. So the more money you have, the more slots you can have in your house. and thus like the more points you can accumulate with the guests in your house and et cetera, et cetera. That one really hooked me. That was the first game I ended up beating in the collection. Sunk, I think, 6-ish hours into it. Highly recommend. Very fun. And it plays a lot like a deck building board game, and I'm a sucker for board game, so I feel like it was very targeted towards Diallo game. So that was fun too. A couple other honorable mentions. There's this game called Magic Garden, which is kind of a combination of Snake and Pac-Man. Like you're sort of making a little snake chain, and then there's these little mushrooms and blobs that appear on the map. And once you've completed a certain number of rescuing the snakes in your chain, you can power up and sort of eat the blobs or mushrooms and sort of clear out the board. That one was really fun, a fun arcade game. There's a game called Porgy, which I haven't beaten yet, but it's this kind of diving Metroidvania. You're the submarine, and you have to navigate this map and find like parts for your submarine and battle bosses and uncover the mysteries of the deep. And it's been kind of fun to play in parallel with the Paranormasight, the Mermaid's Curse, like having two diving games in my repertoire at the same time. Like, who would have thunk? But I guess I'm in my diving era.
Yeah, clearly.
And then there's another game which is a golf-based RPG. You have like a certain number of strokes to navigate the world, and you play as a personified golf ball. You're trying to navigate this world, solve a bunch of puzzles, link up with other golf balls. There's a lot of just like really interesting concepts of games in this collection. And what's really fun about it is if you beat up a game and you're not really feeling it, you can just like, exit out of it. There's 49 other ones to choose from. So yeah, it's been a fun experience. I don't see myself completing every single game in the collection. It's vast. It'll be literally hundreds of hours of gameplay. Like I think I'm already like about 24 hours in with just like the 25-ish games that I played. And again, I played some of them to various levels. Some of them I played for like 30 seconds and was like, nah, this is not what I'm feeling right now. Some of them I've put like multiple hours into. So a real grab bag. But overall, I think it's really interesting, worth checking out. It's been a lot of fun. I'm excited to see what the rest of the collection has in store. And yeah, hopefully I'll have some more updates about that next time.
I think this was the most playing games you ever had in one episode, maybe. Like, I mean, sure, it's officially one title, but really, it
right. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing because
count on the UFO 50s as different ones, and surely.
Yeah.
Right. If you count them all as different games, and I'm in like the high 20s this episode, I listed it as 3 on the document, but I've played like a couple dozen.
Wow. Yeah, I always thought that this was more like mini games and not just like WarioWare sort of things, where it's just like a whole bunch of like, interconnected smaller games or whatever. But like these are extensive games. Right.
Yeah, definitely a lot longer than a WarioWare video game, and they range in their completion times too. So some of them you can beat in like maybe like half an hour or so, but some of them will require multiple sittings, several hours. So they're full-fledged fun experiences.
That's great.
I remember when UFO 50 came out, people were actually discussing on the How Long to Beat forums whether or not the individual games should have their own pages. It looks like Everdread went through the effort to make a whole like special page, basically, where on the UFO 50 page you have individual pages for each and every single game.
Oh, wow.
And it's actually impressive
that's really cool.
Like, actually impressive that almost all of them are like 2 to 5 hours long individually.
Wow.
It's wild.
A lot of bang for your buck with this one.
Yeah. What I always like wondered with this though, especially because it has these not just one singular game, but even like sequels and all this like sort of like fictional lore about being actually developed in the 80s by this fictional developer and whatnot. I always like kind of wondered if there might be some overarching, I guess, meta elements maybe between the games, or if they are genuinely just individual experiences.
Yeah, there's definitely connections.
Okay.
Like, yeah, there's characters who will make recurring appearances through various games. I'm curious if there's going to be something that unifies every single game. I guess that'll be to be discovered as I work my way through more of the collection. But yeah, they do share connections and some DNA, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, that is fun. That's cool.
Super cool.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard of this game and thought it seemed really cool. It is definitely on my list, as it were. I think multiple of these also have like co-op on them and stuff. If you have a friend.
Yes. That's true. Yeah, a lot of them have 2-player available. Thank you for that. I haven't tried that out myself yet, but yeah, there is a lot of co-op possibilities for this one.
Yeah.
Damn.
I've always thought that this kind of idea of making like a fake history / alternate universe kind of stuff would be a cool idea. I think I might have mentioned this
Yeah.
before, but like I've always thought it'd be cool if somebody just made a football game that was just like 32 teams that don't really exist, and then have like a whole history like you could weave through and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a super niche audience, but yeah, that would be cool. Because it would be so niche, yeah.
Exactly. For
Yeah.
the one person called me.
yeah, exactly. Well, I hope you get that game someday.
Maybe.
My list is pretty short. There's not much to say about many of these. Still doing Wordle, still doing Murdle. I'm now on volume 3 of the Murdle books. So I'm trying to take that one very slowly because the next one's in like October that it comes out. And I will have no Murdle books to play.
No.
I'm still playing the Yoshi's Island randomizer. Struggling because there's a lot of stuff that I haven't unlocked that will let me finish levels. So basically I've just been going around trying to get like all the little some of the things you gotta get are the red coins, the flowers, and have like a full timer for like when they try to take Baby Mario from you. So you have to have like I think it's 30 stars at the end or during the level for it to count as having the stars or whatever. So I've just been kind of doing those because there's a lot of things like you need the dog and some things you need that little like rolly rock sometimes to like land on something else. A lot of the bosses include having that little flower that like shoots out the eggs at you so you can collect the eggs. So I can't really do I was trying to fight one boss with one egg and kept on like it's the slime boss that keeps bouncing the egg back. So I was just using the same egg and then he knocked it off the cliff and I was like, that's it, I can't win this stage. So I had to X out of that one and try it again. So it really does amp up the difficulty there. So it does get a little frustrating. It started out with like 59 Yoshi lives, and I'm down to like 7.
Oh boy.
So I'm struggling.
Oh dear.
But yeah, it's been not. I wouldn't even say doable almost, but it's just interesting to realize like how well these levels are put together. Where like if you have one thing missing, it's like you're not getting through this level. So.
Sometimes you
A
gotta have
lot
that
of times like I
perfect
would
play.
yeah. A lot of times I would like when I'm playing Yoshi Island on my own, like I don't even think about like what I'm getting, and then I get to the end. I was like, you got 100%, and I'm like, I wasn't even like struggling there. But like if you only have 3 eggs and you can only do certain things, it's like, wow, this is so much harder without having like the full level available to you. So it is getting a little bit more frustrating that way, but I mean, I'm gonna still do what I can do at least until I get stuck, I guess. Because it seems to be like what I'm missing in my playthrough is in levels that are stuck for the other players in my playthrough. So it's like it kind of like we're just backed into a corner now where it's like nobody can advance because nothing is able to be found in our games. It's kind of crazy. Still doing Just Dance and fitness boxing. Very slowly and trying to get my fitness exercise my fitness routine back, which is interesting because last night I was at a club rave thing, and one of them that they did was they were trying to get everybody on the stage to do certain dances. Like they would come up like first it started off with like, oh, a dance from this music video, oh, a dance from like TikTok or whatever. And then they just threw up the video for Rasputin and it's the Just Dance one. And I was like, easy,
Oh my
done.
God.
I know this.
Oh, you impressed the boy with your Just Dance moves. Huh? Yeah.
And like I was like, I'm gonna go on the stage and do that one with everybody. But like as I was walking through the crowd, people were like, I don't know it. I have to be able to look at the video. And I was like, no, I got this. So
Oh my god.
I was like, I don't even
That's
need the video right
great.
now. So that was kind of hilarious.
Talk about video games not teaching you real life skills. Here's the
Yeah.
counterpoint.
So that was funny. I was like, out of all the videos they had to do, it was just like, oh, just as soon as I saw the guy from Just Dance pop up, and I was like, done. I know what I'm doing here. Like, this is part of my routine every damn day. Yeah, and the last thing I have here is NHL 22, which I'm still doing the pro career mode of that. Which is funny because the requests to get traded came up again after like 3 games where my pro was like doing really great and the manager or coach was like, oh yeah, you're doing great or whatever. And my teammates hate me. The one dude that only ever talks to me in this team, like he kept on being complaining after like every, like I would miss out on the objectives that he would give me during the game. So he was like really on my case. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll just trade and find like another bro on another team. And then the manager was like, no, we want you here for another year. So I guess I'm locked into this team. So we'll see.
You're getting the real NHL experience of being an unhappy player with bad teammates and you can't get out of your contract.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So that was pretty funny where they would, like gave me the option. I was like, okay, request. And they were like, no, you can't. I was like, all right, well,
Oh my God.
I tried. But yeah. I think it's only supposed to be for like the season, but like seasons are fucking long. I didn't realize. Like I've been paying attention to
82.
the women's hockey teams, and like I'm only like halfway through the year or whatever. But like when you're playing in the game, because like in Be a Pro, you're only playing that one player. So when they're only on the ice for like a minute at a time, and then you sit back down. So it's like when you're playing
You're
like
not
a
a
60-minute
starter,
game
then?
and you're like skating for a minute. Huh?
Are you not a starter right now then?
He's like on the 3rd line, so no,
Oh,
not at all.
Yeah.
So like for the first 3 games or so, it was just like I just sit here, I guess, for the whole game, just on the bench, watching from the sidelines. So now he's doing a little bit more of plays and doing goals or whatever. So he's moved up a little bit, but it's interesting to play that versus like when you're playing the full team and you can just play the whole damn game where like you can sim to the next time that you're on the ice. But sometimes I'm just like, okay, I've been playing a bunch. I'm just going to sit here and watch the game from the bench. But like also that gets to be boring too, which is interesting because they also have, you can play as a skater or you can play as a goalie. And I was like, playing a full season as a goalie where you're just sitting there on the ice watching everybody on the other side of the ice until they come to you. I was like, I'm getting bored now and I'm a skater. Like I can't imagine what it would be like to play as a goalie, but I kind
then
of
you'll
want
have
to do
the
that.
tension of needing to be ready at any time if it comes your way.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess most of the time you can kind of tell when the action's coming at you anyway, but there have been times where they just dumped the puck from across the ice. So I guess you do have to be ready at all times. But yeah, now like as boring as it might be, I do want to try doing maybe at least some of the career as a goalie just to see how that will be. Because I can't imagine that that's going to be any more exciting than it's been so far. Because I don't know what objectives they could possibly give a goalie to do. Because it's like your one job is to score. What else would you want to
10
do?
pucks.
Like save a goal like on the floor or something. Like I don't. It's only like
Okay, but it would be really funny if they gave you a score goal objective and you had to abandon the goalie to do the 6-on-5. I think it is.
Oh yeah, that possibly. But yeah, so far it's been a decent game. I'm still enjoying like every once in a while when I get tired with doing the Be a Pro thing, I'll jump into NHL ones again and try and like unlock some new ranks and new players or whatever. But like there's no real incentive there because it's really just like do half a match and then you're done. I think it's only like a 3-minute game or whatever that you're just playing with like half the rink and 2 other people, and then that's it. It's just like free for all. So that's fun to like, I guess,
Right.
like do as like a warm up before or after when I'm like, I don't really want to play a full game, but I just want to play a little hockey in between. So far, I'm getting a lot of value for this. What was it, like a $9 purchase that I did in this game? So
Yeah, it
um,
seems like it's worked out pretty well, honestly.
so I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do with. I don't know if like technically I can complete this game, but I think my goal is going to be just play every mode that they have possible once, and then be like, all right, I guess I've completed this game. So I guess
That's fair.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
going for. But
That
yeah,
makes
those
sense.
are
That's
my
probably
games for
cool.
now.
All right. Well, in that case, I think I'm gonna go next. If Matt's okay with that.
Oh, I'm okay with that. Sure.
Because friends, we have a moment in history here.
Very exciting.
For on March 13th, Friday the 13th, after 1,013 consecutive Wordles, I finally missed one. The streak is over. 07 in chat.
Oh, fuck, dude.
No, it was a 0.
I misread the screenshot that you said. I thought it was a happy screenshot.
No.
Yeah, I was looking at the screenshot, current streak 0, and I was like, no, this can't be right. There must be something here that I'm missing. That is not
Yeah.
correct.
No. 07. My streak got in.
Oh my gosh. What happened?
But at least
Ah,
you say what your streak was before that?
1,013. I broke the 1K, which was my goal.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
What got me is that it was the word E10, and I didn't get quite all the letters until the last one. And there's a word called
Oh.
hatan, which is a
Oh.
type of dish. And because I tried the E in so many spaces, I wasn't thinking of the word Ian, so I did that word. Just a brain fart.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Imagine that happening before the 1K. Oh my
That
god.
would have been rough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we can laugh about this.
You know what they say. In the face of disaster lies the opportunity for renewal. So let's see if I get another 1K.
Very noble, very wise.
Did you see that the creator has a new game?
Oh
No, I
boy,
didn't.
Wordle 2. Now with 6 letters.
I tried the tutorial to this and I was like, my brain is leaking. It's called Parse Word.
What?
If you wanna, I'll send you the link, but
Oh, I see. A tricky wordplay game.
What makes
Yeah.
it so brain leaky?
Solve
give
a
you-
puzzle
they
by
give you-
reducing it to 2 matching parts.
yeah, so they'll give you like 3 words and you have to either click on one of them for like a synonym of that word, or click on 2 of them to revert, like it'll be like back cap, and if you select back and cap, it'll change it to PAC because that's cap backwards, and then that'll be one of the words you have to pick, and then like some other
This seems
stuff.
insane.
Yeah, it's very.
Yeah.
I was doing the tutorial and I was like, nah.
This
I
reminds
might
me
look
of
into
Ava
that.
Is You, honestly.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's essentially
It
Which
is
I
very
also have to
interesting.
get
I can
through
tell
it.
this would melt my brain.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I would not be able to play this on a daily basis for sure.
Yeah. So outside of the Wordle loss, all my normal tabletop simulator stuff, which I've been doing at a high amount, and then naturally League of Legends. I've been playing some of that with a friend again. Not
Yuck.
much else to say. I've been having a good time, but League of Legends has somehow returned. I think the
Who are you
big one,
maining? What lane are you on? We gotta get them deets.
when it comes
What
to
rank?
the main, it's still my old man Scion, who has generally been my main for a long time. Big, tanky, and he's actually quite good right now too. I usually go
Okay.
top and jungle because I'm more of a tanky kind of guy, and those are the ideal places. I also like do Maokai, stuff like that. But I'll go mid if those are taken and whatnot. But also, I've been playing a lot of ARAM, which is all random, all mid. So with those, it's
What the heck?
random.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like it's basically just a big fight mode if you just want to fuck around kind of thing. Is how I put it. Generally a bit less serious. There's no laning stuff like that. So I end up playing a lot of that
Yeah.
recently. But
Does that have
sorry,
ranking or is that
speaking-
just casual?
It does not have ranking. I haven't gone to rank
Yeah, okay.
yet. But I do like how Matt asked that question and probably immediately regretted it.
You not doing ranked games though might explain why you're not sick of the game yet or whatever. Like I could
You
see that
say
having a
that, but
factor.
back in the day, I had like hundreds of ranked games I played. I
The
got
dark
silver.
days, oh boy.
I believe I got the
Ooh.
silver 4 back in the day. And you gotta remember, I was playing a computer that only ran the game at 20 FPS. 30 on a
Oh
good
my
day.
gosh, yeah.
You can imagine how that was to play. But
Yeah.
the big one here, and one that you're probably going to see on this list many episodes, is Slay the Spire 2, which a friend got for me yesterday. And I've already got like 6 or 7 hours in.
Nice.
You know, I'm not gonna say too much. Nice, yeah, 6, 7. But
No. Sure.
But you know, I've beaten almost everyone on their first run. I haven't gone into the Ascensions yet. I still need to beat the Necrobinder base level. I've gotten everybody else on their first one. And then I'm probably gonna get my spreadsheet out to count my Ascensions and how many attempts it takes like I did with Slay the Spire 1. But
Your
look, man,
spreadsheet. This is an Excel sheet game.
No, not really. I just like to catalog how well I do.
Okay.
You really don't need anything like that. But this is really fucking good game already, kind of thing. The gameplay is very similar to the previous game, but expanded. But they have tuned it and changed it in a lot of different ways as well. Because the first game, you got like a relic at the end of each map, which is like a special item that gives you whatever. But perhaps more importantly, the way that they would give it, you generally wanted an energy relic, which basically gave you more energy to play more cards, like lands in Magic or energy in Hearthstone or whatever. And that they tended to be much stronger than the other options, so it was pretty rare that you didn't want to just grab one of those unless because they always had like a downside, like you can't use potions, you get 2 wounds in your deck, enemies have more strength, whatever. So unless the downside was going to be really bad for you, you pretty much always want to take one. So far in Slay the Spire 2, almost all the energy relics are gone, and energy is much rarer. But what you have in your own deck and options you can pick tend to give you more temporary energy options. And it definitely has created a different balance of play, just in like the 12 or so runs I've done. They've added a lot of animations, which is really fun. Everything has death animations. There's attack animations now. It is early access, so there is stuff that's just placeholder.
Oh.
You know. And I always love their placeholder stuff because you get some really they do like just really simple like what would you call it? My brain is freezing. Stick figure kind of stuff. And it's always incredibly funny to have it as like a placeholder. But you know, they add a lot of animations, which is fun. Death animations, attack animations. Obviously, all new events, all the encounters and bosses are new. There's new mechanics. They haven't added the super secret boss yet because that's going to be later in early access. So right now it's just 3 acts, to my knowledge, anyway. They've increased the amount of lore in the game, and now there's a little timeline feature. I do like how you kind of unlock the lore as you kind of just go through each character, and it tends to be character-specific lore. It's all on like a timeline of like, this is how the world started, this is the events that led up to the game kind of thing. But maybe the feature I'm most excited for is that this has 4-player co-op. And
Oh my god.
I think it's fucking rules, and if anyone gets it, I will play with you. I believe I've said multiple times on the show, and if not, I wish I did kind of thing. I've always wanted more like RPGs that are multiplayer. I don't mean like an MMORPG. I mean like, I wish I could go in like Final Fantasy and we each control a character in Final Fantasy and we play through the game kind of shit.
Yeah.
And while this isn't
but no, go on.
this isn't quite that. But it is fun. So basically, you are all in a party, and you all take your turns at the same time, and it's just about how you decide to queue up your cards next to each other. But enemies now have like triple health, and they attack everyone at once, kind of thing. And there's special cards and relics and abilities that only work in multiplayer. Like the Ironclad is like your tanky knight kind of guy who kind of looks like Hakumen from Blaze Blue. And one of his abilities that he can give himself is Tank, which halves the damage everybody else takes, but doubles the damage he takes. So you can try to build him as like an actual tank to shield other guys in combat and stuff like that. And, because this is a roguelike with different choices of where to go and what to put on your teams, it's fun to debate, well, where should we go next? How do we want to actually approach this or that?
Mm-hmm.
I played this with 2 of my friends who really like to play the Spire, and I had a fucking blast, dude. Like, it ruled.
It does sound good. And it is good because Slay the Spire 1 is so massively beloved, it seems, that they didn't fumble the bag and like make a disappointment with the second one. Like, I mean, there was some pressure, I'm sure.
Definitely. There definitely
What I
was.
wonder though, for somebody who has not played either, is this a situation where you would recommend somebody just going with the sequel immediately, or is there still enough to go with the first one? Is that still worth it?
Here's what I'd say. I think they play different enough. There are reasons to play the first one over the second one. But if somebody hadn't played either, I'd probably recommend they just start with 2. Because it has more content. I think that the multiplayer, like you can play with a friend and stuff, that's like a boon to people who would be interested in that. And it has like a bit more, like it has more polish. It has, like I said, more animation, stuff like that. So I would probably recommend somebody start with Slay the Spire 2, and then if they like it, play the original. Because I do think the original had, like, there's cards that are in the original which make for different playstyles that are not in the second game. Like, Reform for Silence is a big one I've noticed. And like I said, the balance and way they've balanced and designed the game around energy and how many cards you play feels very different. Even though, like I said, the core mechanics are the same. So how you want to build your team and go through the game does feel fairly different. And because a lot of the encounters are pretty different and mixed around each floor, it feels like it's a different game utilizing the same mechanics. If that makes sense.
Okay.
So I think they stand separately, but I'd start with 2.
I'm gonna probably keep that in mind if I give this another shot, because I never spent much time with the first one.
Yeah. And I mean, it's in early access right now. I didn't run into any bugs or anything. But like, one thing is that if you want to get to like like I said, there's always like an extra boss kind of thing who's like on a secret 4th act that you can optionally do who's super tough. In the first one, that's obviously available, but it took a while to get in the game. In this one, since it's just started in early access, it's not there yet. So if you want to get that high-end challenge, the first game might have more of the high-end challenge, for example.
Okay.
But, this game's awesome. I'm probably going to be talking about it multiple times in the future, especially as I go through the Ascensions. I mean, I think I'm already around, technically 10 hours, but 1 or 2 I was idling while doing something else kind of thing. So, yeah. I only got it yesterday at like 7 p.m.
Right, yeah. A good night of gaming, it's like.
Yeah, guess what I'm probably gonna do once the podcast ends?
Yeah, I figured. Yeah. Hell yeah.
My taxes.
Hell yeah, dog.
Played the Saturday for Roy today.
Saturday the Spire, Slay the Saturday. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna finish off this section, I guess, with
Late
my playing
Saturday
games.
Spire.
Yeah. I got 3 games that I'm actively playing right now. One of which I've mentioned in a previous episode, being Small Saga, which I started in the last couple weeks, and I've only been putting minimal more time into this. I've not. Most of my gaming time was more with like more casual games, like the racing stuff and whatever. So I've only think had one single 1 hour session in Small Saga since the last episode, and I mostly spent that hour roaming around that first major city in this RPG and just talking to all the NPCs. I did not like truly progress the story. I did not really engage in any fights, in any action. I was just genuinely just reading the NPC text and getting all the lore and just like looking at the pretty sights. And it's that was kind of like all I needed. Just some rodent based world building and whatnot. And it's just a really pretty game. So I can't really tell you much more about the true contents of the meat and potatoes of this game, because I haven't really engaged with that since the last time. But I'm telling you, man, this game is pretty as fuck, and I love this animal based like fantasy realm. It's just dope as heck. What I have experienced or like uncovered is that now that the game is opening up a bit more, you can use the pigeon companion for fast travel around the map, and you do, when you talk with NPCs, you do occasionally like get a new point of interest on the map as some sort of like treasure hunting side quest or whatever, which are like just simple little things. Like one of them, I was able to just fly into a subway station area, which legit was just one screen with not much going on, and then you find a little trinket for your equipment, and that is it. Like nothing major. But another one was actually fun because you could travel to some human's apartment to get like a key item for a side quest NPC, and you encounter a bunch of pet turtles that try to stop you from grabbing this item that you want. And that turtle messed me the heck up. I could not beat that. So my main point is that it's just fun to see all these urban environments from like this creature point of view. I'm a huge sucker for that. And it's like a really, really fun clash of tones where you have this fantasy adjacent stuff of the Rat King and all these different like clans of medieval classes made up of different animals in the sewers of London or whatever. And then you also have like fighting a fucking pet turtle in like a modern apartment for an item and whatnot. It's a really fun, colorful assortment of things, of situations, and I'm really enjoying that without taking the story like fast, without like rushing through anything. I'm just really enjoying every step that I'm taking. I'm kind of like assuming that I'm gonna be really crawling through this game in the next couple of weeks. I'm still on my casual game grind for the most part. One of those being the next game that I'm playing right now, and truly this is what I think spending most time in right now. I started playing Gran Turismo 4 on the PS2, which is this is like I truly believe this is like the most loved game in the Gran Turismo series. And I usually don't like having two games of the same genre going on at the same time, but circumstances in the How Long to Beat community just facilitated that I'm playing Gran Turismo 4 and Ridge Racer 4, coincidentally, both 4 at the same time. Gran Turismo 4 was also another one on the Game of the Month nomination poll, and that would have also been a cool one to have won. It certainly has, of course, a much longer campaign if that's something that you are looking for. And playing these both next to each other is actually kind of funny as well, in how they are absolutely the opposite ends of the spectrum of a racing game, with Ridge Racer obviously being the arcadey one, and Gran Turismo being the one where every single little input change matters, as it's much more like realism focused. It has the subtitle D Racing Simulator or whatever. Like, it's very much emphasizing that. I mean, that's what the franchise is known for. And talking a lot with fellow member of the How Long to Beat community, Dune, or let's talk about Dune, who is also very much into this game, has really, really drawn me to take this from the backlog and actually try it as well. It's also notable that I'm emulating this, and I have said before that I'm really trying to emulate very little this year. So this is a very strong decision that I'm sacrificing one of my emulation spots for this game. Yeah, it honestly truly kind of is. And I'm playing the Spec 2 version, which is a fan mod thing for this game, which seems to be like pretty much considered the definitive way to play Gran Turismo 4 these days, which I couldn't tell you all the changes it's doing. It's mostly apparently like re-adding limited content to this game that might have not only been like in online functionalities originally or whatever, fixing some bugs and like changing some difficulty balancing, that sort of thing. But like, I couldn't really tell you all the details that this is changing. This is clearly made by hyper enthusiasts with bigger brains than I could ever imagine to have. So I'm just trusting them to do the right thing. And Gran Turismo, I have played the original one way back. Okay, not way back, but like half a decade ago or whatever. The PlayStation 1 one. And I remember specifically, I love racing games, but I'm not into simulation genre of these because they get very intimidating to me very quickly. And Gran Turismo 1, when I tried that out back then, was also a game where I did not expect to get much into, especially with its career mode, where you truly have to pay attention to the mechanics, the technicalities of your vehicle, and really not just get in a car and do a race, but like plan which events you want to go and like acquire the correct vehicle that's eligible for it and whatnot, and like do all the tuning that is not simplified to just like some progress bars or whatever, but like actual numbers that a real vehicle would have that I have no clue about. So when I played Gran Turismo 1, I was shocked to really get drawn into it and play that whole thing through. How many hours that was. And with Gran Turismo 4, I again was intimidated because I would expect this on a whole nother console generation being much more advanced, probably much more thorough with its technicalities, and probably being even more, even harder to get into for somebody like me who has no connection with actual real life cars at all. But here I am. I got like a little bit over 10 hours into this, and I am really into this. I'm shocked at how excited I am to see some of these car brands in this game. I am an outspoken car hater in real life, but I see a fucking DeLorean, like in Back to the Future, be available for purchase in a shop in this game, and I'm like, holy fuck, how is this here that rules? Or like, very early on, I found one of the only 5 cars that I can like recognize by name, thanks to video games. I have mentioned this before, I believe. And this stems from the original Gran Turismo 1. In that, I remember vividly in that playthrough that I eventually saved up to buy a Subaru Impreza because with its 4-wheel drive, that was like almost like cheating in Gran Turismo 1. And I will always and forever remember that stupid car. And when I noticed in Gran Turismo 4, a Subaru Impreza was actually available in like a used car store really early on, not like an insane amount of cash needed or whatever. I gunned for that immediately, got my favorite like real vehicle in a video game of all time, and had a blast driving with that through like the early events and whatnot. And I don't know how Gran Turismo is doing this. It feels like on paper, this is like the last kind of racing game that I would be interested in, but it is really engaging really quickly with how it presents itself, how it has all these weird little realism-based mechanics and genuinely satisfying driving. I don't know, it's just dope as heck. And a lot of the race tracks in here are also recreations of the same race tracks in the original game, which is really fun. I loved revisiting Trial Mountain, my beloved, one of my favorite race tracks in all of video games. It's super cool to see it here as well. Yeah, and it's just neat. I'm having a good time with this.
I mean, it sounds like you're having a blast.
Yeah, honestly, like I get why this is so highly regarded by racing game enthusiasts, by Gran Turismo fans. It's a good time. And again, Ridge Racer 4 is the game of the month. I do want to spend more time with this, but Gran Turismo 4 is undoubtedly gonna be like the main racing game right now. And in a way, I think the main game that I'm playing right now. I have a feeling I'm gonna be spending the most time in here. Yeah.
I mean, something I'd say is that probably one reason, even though it might not be something you might normally think you'd like, that you like it, is probably just, it sounds like the driving is very satisfying and well done. And I mean, that's like always I think that's always a big thing with something that's a bit more realism based. It has to feel good to play.
Yeah, for sure. Although I have a feeling, like I'm waiting for the moment where the difficulty ramps up a bit. I'm still in like the beginner events for now. And once it like gets harder, it might be more frustrating and less joy. Who knows? But then again, I also made it through the original game, so
You might
it's
enjoy
probably
the
gonna
challenge.
be a similar experience. Yeah, exactly. And Gran Turismo 1 also had challenges that I enjoyed mastering. So I'm gonna just trust the process.
Who knows? Maybe you just have more interest in this type of game than you first realized. If you just kind of look into it more, honestly.
Yeah, that is honestly the case. Yeah, Gran Turismo has opened my eyes already in the past, and it's like continuing to do so here now. Yeah,
Truly,
there's more
it is the
in
Gran
these
Turismo
that I expected to like the grandest of Turismos. Yeah, totally. Oh, and quick, I need to mention this because it is crazy to me and I think about it way too often. You can get an oil change in this game, which is not only like actually crucial to gameplay because it has a visceral effect on the performance of your car, but also every time you get an oil change, it's an unskippable animation of a guy rolling under your car, doing the bid, and then leaving. Like you can not fast forward through that shit or whatever. You have to watch the oil change
part of the
happen.
experience.
Yeah, and it's like I feel like that little thing is such a perfect showcase of this enthusiasm that the Gran Turismo developers have for the real car experience. That you cannot skip the oil change, for fuck's sake. It's very funny to me.
Gives you a chance to relax after all the racing.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Can't skip the pit stops.
And then the third game that I'm playing right now, here we go with the current co-op game of the moment. My co-op friend and I have decided to tackle the next and currently final in the series of We Were Here. This one is titled We Were Here Forever. I mentioned this series of co-op games plenty of times in the past, I believe. It's an asymmetric puzzle game where you are, for the most part, in completely different environments of the game and have to communicate a lot to get your individual sides of a puzzle come together and progress in the story of mystery, intrigue, and survival, or whatever the heck. And this is a long-running series. I think We Were Here Forever is like the 5th game or something, and it is also, it seems like the biggest one in both in terms of playthrough time, according to How Long to Beat, this neat website. I think this is like a full-on 12-hour campaign, which none of the others had going on. And it seems also to like have a bigger budget. It's also much more theatric, much more cinematic with its cutscenes, with its story pacing and whatnot, which is interesting to see, especially since I have played all of these with different co-op partners throughout the years. And yeah, this is truly like kind of like the last hurrah for this. And we have been enjoying it so far. As always, there have been some puzzles that were kind of frustrating because we couldn't really grasp the intended solution or how they intended one to come to the solution. But we're not really stressing ourselves with that much. We are at a point where, you know, if something truly does take up too much time and we're not really enjoying the progress or not experiencing any progress in a puzzle, then we will just look up what bothers us and move on to more fun elements of the game. But so far, it has had some pretty cool ideas using this asymmetry of the two players. And that is what I'm playing right now, which does conclude our video game section in that sense.
Yep. And today's discussion topic, as aforementioned at the top of the podcast, is going to be meaningful / big game announcements, whether it's something that's personally meaningful or big to you, or if you want to just talk about something that was major or big in the industry in general, whatever, you know what it means. We're going to be going games, platforms, specific events, the ones that excited us, the ones that disappointed us, the ones we saw coming, the ones that blindsided us out of nowhere. You get what I mean. And hey, maybe we'll even talk about ones we want to see in the future.
I do have one in mind, which is less of an announcement itself, but more of sort of the memes and culture surrounding the announcement. The game that I'm thinking of is Elden Ring. So there was that sort of several year gap between when Elden Ring was first announced and then when we got more details about Elden Ring, like the actual release date and everything. But there was that period of time where there were all the memes where like people were trying to find any sort of like random connection between anything. Like, oh, did you hear like there was a commercial yesterday and they said moon in the commercial. Moon has an O. O is round. Round it means ring. Elden Ring confirmed. Like I was. Those were my favorite memes.
A year older. Old means elder. Elder is one letter from Elden. Elden Ring confirmed on his birthday.
Exactly. Fuck. Like those memes, I found them so funny. And for me, it was kind of I hadn't played any FromSoft games at the time. I was not someone who was like personally looking forward to Elden Ring at that point because it wasn't a game that I was familiar with. So when we actually got a release date and those memes stopped, I was actually a little bit disappointed at first because I wanted them to sort of just like continue indefinitely. But I guess the happy offshoot of that is when there actually started being like serious hype around Elden Ring, it piqued my curiosity a little bit. I was like, oh, should I maybe, I enjoyed this game for its memeability previously, but now that I'm hearing like, all of the genuine excitement about it, maybe I should like look into it. And so before Elden Ring dropped, I played Dark Souls for the first time, fell in love with it immediately, ended up getting Elden Ring on launch day, and it's now one of my favorite games of all time. So just the way that sort of journey happened for me, I thought was fun and worth mentioning. But yeah, those memes, I do miss them.
I kind of feel that way about Silk Song. I really enjoyed the memes about Silk Song. Yeah. That was good stuff. What a bummer that game released.
Oh, no, there's some people in the Discord are gonna be wild now.
Yeah.
But one thing I always remember personally funny about Silk Song, and looking forward to the announcements last night, is the fact they got picked like 4 or 5 years in a row in the Fantasy Critic League. It was always
Oh,
just
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
who's gonna pick Silk Song this year? Is it actually gonna release?
Perennial
Who
pick.
knows? Real.
My favorite thing regarding the Silk Song hype is just like whenever there was any sort of Nintendo announcement, it could be like, oh hey, we're getting a Pokemon Direct next week. People were like, Silk Song, Silk Song, Silk Song.
Yeah.
Like they were rabid.
Some Pokemon,
Every
Everyone's
single
real-
live stream, yeah.
no matter what it is, every time. And to me, what's really
Yeah.
funny is they then did in fact drop Silk Song completely randomly, the release date at the end
Yeah.
of the Nintendo Direct, with absolutely no warning whatsoever. Just like, oh yeah, Silk
Yeah.
Song's releasing, by the way.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah.
That was a
I
wild one.
love that what made like everybody like neuron activated go insane because they're like, wait, what? Silk
Yeah.
Song's release date.
Yeah, I the only ones I can really think about, like the only games that I'm super excited about tend to be Zelda, Grand Theft Auto. I don't even know if I was aware of Red Dead when they were coming out. So I think they just happened and then I eventually caught up to those games later. I
Mhm.
know Beyond Good and Evil, that was a great announcement that has really gotten the Silk Song treatment at this point where it's like, I don't think we're getting that at all. Like, we just got a trailer and then they keep on being like, no, it's still happening. It's still happening. It's like, is it though? Because all we've gotten is that one trailer ages ago. So, yeah. But I mean, the Ocarina of Time, well, before we even got Ocarina of Time, the demo that didn't become Ocarina of, or not on Ocarina, Wind Waker, where they had that
yeah.
that
The
that
Space
tech demo
World
that everybody went nonsense about,
Yeah.
Oh. Space World.
and they were like, no, just kidding. We're gonna, here's Cartoon Link instead. So
You're small, Link. Small.
yeah, well, like a banger of a story though. So
I was thinking in general about whether or not I was actually moved by big game announcement before. Like, I mean, I enjoy a good release of a game I'm interested in, but like an announcement purely. I don't know if there's truly memorable ones where
Grounded
I
2.
remember I
Grounded 2.
I mean, yeah. Grounded 2, definitely. Grounded 1, even, because that concept alone, I mentioned in the past, was dream game come true. That was definitely something on my list. But in general, I was trying to think back, and I think like most, like the prime time of me getting excited by game industry announcements was probably back in the with Nintendo handhelds. Because in most cases, like you,
Good
I
era.
think, mentioned earlier, Leah, when it comes to video games, I was like always like a generation or two behind, and I was getting to the game whenever it was on sale, and that's fine. I was not
Yeah.
in the current now or whatever. But because mainly also because I was a PC player, I was never like on the consoles much. Except
Right.
for the Nintendo handhelds. That was like the one area where I was really like excited for those things. And especially when the Nintendo DS was announced, and then later the 3DS, that was genuinely something, a piece of tech where once it was revealed to come, I was excited for the potential that might come with this unique technology. And that was like the prime time where I was a Nintendo fan and like respected Nintendo for having all this unique tech that would make their video games something out of the ordinary and whatnot. That got me excited, but those days have like gone. And that makes
Long
me
gone, yeah.
sad. Yeah.
Speaking of Nintendo, I do remember a lot of the hype surrounding the announcement of the Nintendo Revolution, which of course then went on to be
Oh.
titled the Nintendo Wii.
Oh,
Seeing
yeah.
like the first like looks that we got with the nunchuck controllers and everything, people would be like, "What is this
What
contraption?"
the fuck is
I remember
this
that being
shit?
really fun back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a wild time. Also, just them
The-
switching to discs and not cartridges was weird.
Mm.
Because GameCube had like the small little the mini
Mini
disc,
disc.
and it was just
Yeah.
like, okay,
Yeah.
still not really. And then with the Wii, it was just like, no, here's this slot loading thing, which I'm surprised that didn't break more often on people. Like, I guess it got overshadowed by people throwing the Wii remotes into their TVs anyway.
Yeah.
But
True. Good times.
Speaking of the Wii, one I remember is like the big game announcement when I was like a teen, probably, was Super Smash Brothers Brawl. That one at E3. That one went wild. It had the radically different style compared to the previous game. They added all. They immediately hit it with like Meta Knight and stuff. I think one thing is Melee kind of just, for the most part, outside of adding a few weirdos, kind of just added a bunch of characters who would just make sense and be expected, like Bowser, Ganondorf, kind of just rounding out the roster from what 64 already. 64 is kind of almost like a prototypical kind of vibe. Brawl added all that. It was really, Final Smashes for the first time, so it was like this sense of, whoa, what are all these crazy attacks and stuff? There was a little comedic moment with Wario. And then, as I recall, in the announcement trailer, it ends with Solid Snake. Like, it's not a later trailer, I don't think, but I could be wrong. And it's like, what the fuck? Nowadays, it's more accepted that third-party characters would cross over with stuff.
yeah.
But back in the day, it was like, what the fuck? Solid Snake's in the Nintendo crossover game?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Um,
And it was just the
True,
box
yeah.
too. It wasn't even him standing. It's just the box, and you're like, "What? What's going on? There's no way."
and then he takes it off. Kept you waiting, huh?
Yeah.
And I think with that, while not directly part of the announcement, the fact it immediately went into the dojo and just updated daily with stuff coming out about the game, especially back then because there wasn't nearly as much proliferation of information, was
Right.
an extremely exciting follow-up. Dude, I'm telling you, I stayed up midnight every day. Gotta see what the news is.
That was me. I think the only time that I could remember being in that sort of hype mode was probably with the Generation 4 of Pokemon, because that was just Generation 1, 2, and 3 were all great, growing up with them as they came out. And Generation 4, I think, was the first time where I was like internet proficient enough to be around, leak circles and like talking with people around the world and getting international like news and whatever, not being limited to my immediate surroundings. So when Generation 4 was announced, like really early on, it was like really starting a thing of being very active in all these Pokemon forums and like looking at really strange, like blurry pictures out of Japanese magazines that might be some new Pokemon or maybe some complete nonsense or whatever. And I don't actually think
.net, hoping to see some.
Yeah. Some crusty 144 pixel video on early YouTube with somebody allegedly having some early beta version or whatever. Fuck, that was. It's crazy how exciting that was.
It was.
Yeah. And funnily enough, though, like even the release day, which coincided with my best friend's birthday at the time, and the movie release of the Simpsons film, like that was the greatest day of my life. We watched the movie, celebrated his birthday. We got the games and like marathon played these games all night and whatever. Funnily enough, though. That was also the point where I kind of started to fall out with Pokemon, because that game did not have a lasting impression on me, and I did not care nearly as much about any succeeding games in the series and whatnot. So it's always been a weird, strange memory.
I feel like Diamond and Pearl kind of had that effect for a few people, honestly.
Yeah.
Platinum, a lot of
I wouldn't be
people
surprised.
love, but Diamond and Pearl, maybe not so much, kind of thing.
Yeah, they were weird. I genuinely remember more of the, I don't know, year before the whole hype cycle than the actual game, which is very strange to me. I think that was the most impactful game announcement I've ever experienced.
There you go. I would not have expected Pokemon Diamond Pearl to be that list for you, but it is fun to have stuff like that just routed out.
I like that it wasn't even your birthday.
Yeah.
That's when I got the most hype. Someone else's birthday.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of Pokemon, for that matter, one that really excited me was when Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness was announced, and waiting for that to come out. Because I really liked Pokemon Coliseum, and as you may have noticed, I am/was a big Pokemon guy. And like, I didn't think I could figure it out. I didn't think they were gonna make another Coliseum style game. I figured it was just like a weird one-off. I definitely think a lot of times when I get the most excited for an announcement, it's either something I already had like a lot of pre-investment in, like Smash Brothers or whatever, or something I just thought was not going to happen at that point, you know? And Pokemon XD at the time is like a 12-year-old or whatever it was. Did not think Pokemon XD was happening. And, you know, it looked good.
Yeah. That is definitely a game that I missed as a kid, and I want to go back to at some point as an adult now. Someday.
You should. It's pretty fun. You know, I think Coliseum and XD, it does. Coliseum and XD both have different specialties, but I think XD is the overall better game.
Yeah.
But Coliseum has the better vibes and story.
So you said that was a surprise to you. Do we have any more surprise announcement? I would actually really like to hear those. I'm sadly I don't think I can.
Have one.
Okay.
But it's a sad story.
Hell yeah, even better.
Because you see, there's a certain game I played when I was younger that for years and years I wanted a sequel to. I didn't get to play its first sequel called Mega Man Legends. And then they announced Mega Man Legends 3 is in production. And I'm like, fuck yeah, it's been like a decade. They're finally doing it. And then it gets canceled. And it's like, no. And then Kijun Funi leaves. And it's like, no, that was never going to happen. It was such a high. I'm like, oh my god, we're actually getting it.
I guess that is a big announcement too. I didn't even think about that side of things. Oh gosh.
Yeah, stuff getting
I wonder
if
I have something similar like that.
That's also a game announcement. But dude, I was so sad when Mega Man Legends 3, especially because like it seemed like they're on track. They were doing the stuff with the fans, which in a weird way that was forward thinking because now stuff like that on Kickstarter or whatever is just like a common thing. But back then it was not being used in the same way, and they didn't do it right, and we were so close.
But at least you got like a proper announcement with a cutoff. And if it was a Kickstarter campaign, more often than not, they just fizzle out into silence, and that might be even less satisfying.
That's true. But hey, at least we got Mighty Number 9 out of it.
Yeah. That epic video game that everybody loves. Oh, totally.
That was actually another one I was really excited for the announcement of when it was first announced.
Yeah, understandable.
That, and the other one I'm hyped about, and this is some real nerd shit, I was so excited for the Homestuck game when that was getting kickstarted. I was so hyped and wish I could contribute, dude. I can't tell you.
Did that succeed? I don't even remember that.
I'm gonna give you a kind of, and not necessarily go to a ton. They did end up releasing a Homestuck game. The person they originally partnered to release the game with took some of their money to make a different game, and they got embroiled and stuff. And then there's more after that, and I don't want to go too much into past that, but...
Yeah, that sounds like a mess, yeah. Bummer.
Yeah, if we're talking about cancellations and stuff like that, I guess with GTA 6, apparently the way that they're pushing it back parallels exactly how they did it with Red Dead 2. So there's been a lot of memes coming out with that where people are like, people are like losing their minds. Some of them actually, and then other ones just like making jokes about like the smallest things in trailers and just like going back over on things. But it's so interesting to see people being like everything that they're doing, pushing back the timelines, the dates to their like to the months that they're pushing things back is like almost exactly what they did with Red Dead 2. And it's funny to see how like that was like the last big game that they did, so you would imagine that they would know what they were getting into making an even bigger game after that. But yeah, it's just been fun to watch people just like even before the trailers came out, there was a whole bunch of nonsense where like people were just like, there's a number in this poster on his account and we've decided that that's going to be the date that this comes out at this time. And it was like, bro, like we need to calm down and just wait for the trailer to be announced, whatever. But
the
like,
numbers, Leo, what do they mean?
Yeah, there was like a thing where they were like, if you look at the moon, it's in a different phase. Then like the next time the moon is in that phase is on this date, and we're gonna get it on this date because the characters can watch. And I was like, bro, like we go play another game. Just wait until it comes out.
Okay,
like, there's no need to go this deep.
I think with
some of them were right too, and then I was real mad about that too because some of them
that
were
is worse if they're actually right.
God.
Like, because then you don't know if like they were right or did they just listen to them and said, you know what, we'll do it on that day because that's when they want it. Like,
or if it's a coincidence,
it could be either or.
Just
yeah.
What this means between Elden Ring, GTA 6, Civic Song, all that, is that apparently in modern gaming discourse, if you give even the hint that a game might come out, they will find every excuse to make up a date it will come out.
I don't understand why anybody even announces anything anymore. Just shut up until you have the game.
Honestly, real.
For the shareholders, for the worth of the company.
Well,
I mean, it is also fun to have some hype, but you gotta do it with like a reasonable time frame.
I do sometimes think I didn't witness the Red Dead 2 announcement and release cycle, but I was there for GTA 5. And I never even finished that game or played much of the non-online stuff. But I remember being there with all the other people waiting months and months with the millions and millions of delays. I remember being excited when like GameStop employees privately on social media posted like the first shipment of the boxes in their local store and whatever. And it was like, oh, it's happening. Like there was a really communal weird thing going on. Sometimes I like to think back of that. Would not care to ever like relive that bullshit. It was very strange.
I think that's part of the fun of like any sort of community where people are just like losing their minds of things, and it's just like, remember when we were all like with Silk Song, just being like, remember when that was the thing that we were all going through together, and it was like, we don't have a lot of those like big moments, big events anymore as like a culture. So like whenever
bring back the collective psychosis.
Yeah.
yeah.
Beautiful.
This just makes me say it, and I wish I was still around. I miss E3.
Yeah.
Half of them were shitty, but it was just fun to gather with some friends, with like 4 dudes on call or on a couch or whatever, and just be like, let's see what bullshit is coming out on this E3.
Yeah.
And then just talk about it like it's way more important than it is.
But don't you have the Game Awards and Summer Games Fest for that? Isn't that like the same stuff?
It's niched out now. Yeah.
Boo.
We don't have the big one anymore.
Yeah. I actually do like the Game Awards, but here's what I'll say the difference is. And it might be a stupid difference, but in my mind it is one. It was fun to have E3 divided by things like publisher or what game was coming out, because then there were different tracks to kind of get excited by and talk about. It could be like, who did the best at E3? Was it Nintendo? Was it Microsoft? It's never Electronic Arts. It just had like a very natural
having
like,
the schedule.
I mean,
the
part
schedule
of that is
kind of
still
felt
there.
like being in college though, where it was just like, what class do you have today? Oh, Xbox is going to talk, and you're like, oh, okay. Are you
Xbox at
gonna
2
watch the
p.m.
video on that? Okay. Who's going to this one? Who's gonna be there on this video? Like, and then
And
like
I think another
you had to like work or you had a class or something, and you're like, oh, I missed it. What happened? Like,
and then
tell me
Right.
what
sometime you
happened in
get the
class. I
class you
missed
don't
it.
want to go to, and that's the Ubisoft conference.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, that's yeah.
But I think another thing personally is I think that they tended to try to have more like flair and make it more like an event. And sometimes it went really wrong and was funny, but other times it was kind of cool. I don't know. All I'm saying is that
Sure.
you're not gonna get bad moments too, like the dude with the Kinect saying, "Look at the bottom of my avatar's shoe," or Miyamoto trying to do
Yeah.
Wii music while it blatantly doesn't work. You know what I mean? It's fun seeing imperfections, and they would put up like dudes who clearly weren't public speakers to go up and talk, and it could be funny.
Oh
You
God,
know.
yeah.
I still remember stuff like Ridge Racer or Peggle
Yeah, it was
2 and
good,
shit,
yeah.
and that's just not the Game Awards.
Yeah.
Package weak point for massive damage.
Yeah.
Yes. The
Yeah.
giant enemy crab. I missed that shit. Did anybody in the world actually play that game? I doubt it.
I couldn't even tell you what game it was.
Yeah.
Now I
man.
don't remember. Genji Days of the Blade, huh?
Yeah, some
No,
shit like
I
that.
mean, somebody's gotta have played at some point, but no. I did like how they're like, it's an authentic Japan experience. Here's this
Yeah.
giant enemy.
Hey, as someone who's lived in Japan, those giant crabs are no joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You thought the giant hornets were bad, wait until you get the giant crabs. And they're enemy crabs, they're never friendly.
The enemy crab.
Yeah.
I do have to say though, the enemy crab was the best, the most that made me interested in the game. Like they couldn't do anything else to make me interested in that
It's a
game.
giant enemy crab.
Yeah, that
like,
rules.
you know, boom,
There should be
that's the
more of
point.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, there should be a game called Giant Enemy Crab.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and then there's even stuff like yo really old school, like before I was born. You get like Sega fucking themselves over by saying the Sega Saturn shall drop, and then Sony just goes up, says
Oh, yeah.
$2.99 and walks off and doesn't actually say anything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
like when Xbox announced the Xbox One and how terrible it was going to be, and then Sony completely owned them with stuff like their little, here's how you share a game video. I don't know, you don't get stuff like that in the
Yeah.
Game Awards. It's a different experience.
Yeah.
I guess.
It makes me wish the Game Awards were actually about the Game Awards, and then there was just like an E3 kind of thing. Instead
Yeah.
of lumping them together.
Sure.
Yeah,
Well,
but the only thing is that they have nothing else to put at the Game Awards. Like every other award show, I mean, I guess the ESPYs doesn't really have much going on either. But like
Yeah.
the like everyone else has like, you know, entertain. I mean, I guess the Game Awards that one year had the Alan Wake dance off, but besides
Yeah.
that, and
They
like
have
an
bands.
orchestra maybe playing some score
yeah.
or whatever, I guess. Like they don't have like breakaways from the awards. So like they were like, I guess we'll put some trailers, and then became everything trailers. So
Yeah. Well, if it was just like some trailers as breakaways, that would be a bit different. You know what I mean?
it would be great if the games would come out and stay out. unlike High Guard or whatever.
That's some high demands.
Epic announcement in the end, honestly. I love that
Oh my
Jeff
gosh.
Kiwi just played this game, gave it the spotlight because he enjoyed it, and then it immediately fucking died. Honestly,
Goddamn.
I'm not sure anything has ever humanized Jeff Kiwi more than enjoying a 5 out of 10 game, telling everyone about it, and immediately having it flop.
Very relatable.
Like this is gonna be the best game. No, it's not. Nobody
It's gonna be
plays
this
your game.
hero shooter to beat out Overwatch or whatever.
Yeah.
Overwatch was
Fantastic.
a super hype announcement, actually.
Yeah.
Overwatch 2 was crazy.
Was
Why
it?
did Overwatch
And then
do this?
I don't remember any of these, to be honest.
the thing with Overwatch 2 is it was supposed to be like the actual story mode of the game. They were actually going to
And
give
then
you
they
like a
never
campaign.
added it.
And then
Yeah.
they never added it. Like then they just went back. They just took the 2 off, and they were like, "Forget it. It's just Overwatch."
Yeah,
It's like, why
but-
did we go through all of this for?
Not only
Why?
that, they've reverted back to 5v5 from 6v6 in Overwatch 2. Overwatch 2 is just
Yeah.
like unexistent.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
That was a great example of a negative announcement, honestly, because I feel like everybody was just like, but why?
Great
Yeah.
example of negative nonsense, yeah.
If we want to talk about another one I went fucking insane for, Metroid Dread, when that popped off.
Oh, you were
Because
one of those people, huh?
I hadn't played a lot of Metroid games, but I was really into Metroid. I knew the history of this being like 15 years canceled. I remembered like the Project
I wasn't aware of
Dread is
that.
nearing completion in Metroid Prime 3. And like, also the way they
wow.
announced it is really good, where it's like, you know, you can tell it's Metroid first, and then they're like, Metroid, I think it was 5, right? Metroid 5. Everyone's like, whoa, wait a minute. If we haven't had that in like 15 years. And then it's only at the end they call it Metroid Dread, when you're still getting teed up by the fact they're actually making a sequel to Fusion after like 15 years. And also that game completely delivered on its promises, which is good.
Yeah, so I've heard. I think F-099 probably excited me when that was announced because that seemed unreal that they would do anything with F-Zero, but even that in hindsight is like a drop on a hot stone, and it's not really didn't really have any impact in the long run. I probably have mentioned this a whole year ago or whatever in an ancient episode that I was thinking of getting the Switch 2 potentially if they would get an F-Zero on there. Like there was an announcement I was kind of waiting for at this point that even the tiniest bit of hope of that died. That's over.
They
That
did
is
have the
completely
one that like
done.
unreleased Japanese game.
Yeah, which is like a very, very sort of in a million quotation marks F-Zero game, which is kind of interesting. But it's not gonna get me to
I'll
buy the
say
Switch
this,
2. At this
with
point,
Kirby
nothing
Air
is.
Riders, with Kirby Air Riders, if there was a new F-Zero, I actually would not be surprised. So who knows?
No, but I think more than anything, Kirby Air Riders just gave them another reason to not do another F-Zero because that is already an Antigrav racer in their major repertoire. They don't need another one. Pretty
They
sure
could
that is
decide to
dead.
have Zero as the more hardcore version, for example, while Kirby is the more casual version.
If
It wouldn't
they
be the
didn't
first
do
time they've
that
done
That was
something
going
like
hardcore
that.
on
in
the racing.
decades, they're not gonna do that now.
Yeah, you never know.
It's-
Like I said, Metroid
Switch
Dread
it's-
is
released with
15 years.
Mario Kart World, and now Kirby Air Riders. Like,
They seem
Yeah,
to like the
it's
racing
shocking they have
game.
two major racing games at the same time already. They're not gonna have a third one. That is insane for Nintendo.
I'm trying to remember. Did we make video game predictions at the beginning of this year? Because I feel like this F-Zero discourse would be a very fun thing to sort of like watch over the years to see whether it comes true or not.
I don't think we did.
Yeah, I don't think we
I don't
did.
think we did.
predictions.
We could do an impromptu one.
Yeah, sure. What announcements are we looking forward to? Sure.
So announcements that we're looking for. I have a kind of a hot take for this one. I'm preparing to get canceled. I'm bracing my body for it. But I know just a few weeks ago that Gen 10 was announced for Pokemon and everything, and people are really excited about that. I would love for the cycle between Pokemon generations to be longer. I would love for them to cook a little bit more. Like, I feel like we don't need the rate at which we get new Pokemon generations. It's too fast for me. Like, I feel like I don't know. I just feel like there's already so many Pokemon out there. I think instead of trying to come up with like new flashy gimmicks and stuff, what I want the most for the Pokemon series is a big rebalancing. There are some Mons that are just like they don't get enough love. They're very outclassed and everything. And I would love to see those issues addressed before spewing out new ones. That's me. So yeah, I my hope is that Gen 11 gets announced way out in the future. like a longer cycle than we've seen for previous generations.
Well, they did say they were taking a year off and giving this one an extra year. So
I appreciate
that's
that.
at least something.
That
I don't
is
know if
shocking.
that's a really long one,
But yeah, I think most people would be with you there. I don't think. But the suits, they want the money quick. So.
But I also feel like there's like a large number of the Pokemon fan base is like, we need Gen 10 now. Like Gen 9 has been out for like 5 months. Like, where's Gen 10? I want Gen 10. So
right, yeah.
I need those people to take a chill pill a little bit.
I mean, I think another thing is I think Pokemon has been moving towards maybe filling out some of the release schedule with more side game stuff, which has worked out well. I know
Which
Pokemon
I love. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, really gone off.
A side note, the only reason I haven't purchased Pokopia yet is because I know that as soon as I start playing it, like my backlog can just rest in peace. So I knew that if I bought it now, I would never finish Expedition 33. So I'm trying to hit the credits for some other games before I start a Pokopia. But I hope to talk about it eventually.
That's really funny, but I so relate.
It's also what I feel like not just what we want to see, but it would be even more interesting what we have a feeling will happen, like actual predictions, reasonable.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going.
I mean,
like speculations.
I am gonna say I'm not gonna be surprised if the next year or two if an F-Zero gets released or announced at least. I'll say rather.
Why? No, that's nonsense. Why are you saying this? that's not going to happen.
It's just a vibe. It's just a vibe.
I feel similarly because it's either
What?
that or Star Fox that needs to be revived next. Like,
and Nintendo just seems to be on a big
we
game
got Virtual
and you
Boy
gotta
back.
remember,
So.
you know when F-Zero GX came out? When Kirby Air Ride did. And that was the same gen they did it with the Mario Kart.
But they are much more selective
patterns.
now.
They're adding up.
I genuinely could not see them after all this talk over the years by Nintendo of how they would only revive F-Zero if there was actually a reason for it. I could not see it pop up as the third major racing game under their belt when they are so selective these days. It seems like everything in my eyes is against it now.
The reason is Matt asked very nicely.
I think the big thing is I just also disagree they've been very selective. I think they've been really open in the Switch generation.
I mean, at this point, like if it comes to me, they lost me anyway. I'm kind of done with F-Zero in that sense. Not that I don't like the old games anymore, but I don't actually need a new one. There's enough like modern anti-grav racing for me, honestly, to be satisfied. And they are not going to get me into the ecosystem.
That they have in them actually does get you. You know, maybe that's the hook they find.
Yeah, never say never. We'll see if that happens, which it won't. So honestly, Star Fox I could much more see because I feel that would actually like fill a niche that they don't currently have occupied.
I love Star Fox. It feels a bit less likely to me, but I love it, and it doesn't feel like impossible either.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Yeah,
but I feel like this is gonna sound like weird, but it also makes sense in my head nonetheless. In a weird way, the fact F-Zero has not gone as many games actually makes me think it's more likely because I feel like Nintendo is more likely that we got burned by Star Fox Command, and then we went to Platinum and we got burned on Star Fox Zero, so we don't want to go back to Star Fox or something.
Well, then
you
they're
can't get burned. You never make the game.
Yeah. But like, this is okay. So it is kind of easy to predict potential announcements from Nintendo. What the fuck could Sony and Microsoft predict that would be actually a major thing? Can anybody think of anything?
Microsoft is dying.
Yeah,
they could announce that, I guess.
I mean,
I don't think they would die. They would sell themselves off to some shitty fucking bigger company.
I said that as a joke, but I'll put it a different way. I could see Xbox die.
Oh yeah, I think that is
dead. Move to like Game Pass and stuff. I mean, they fucked up.
Although
that
didn't they?
situation so badly, my God.
Didn't they announce? Or was that Sony? Some of them announced a portable PC console or whatever.
Yeah, they announced
think that
the
was
Xbox
Microsoft.
Asus ROG Ally X, but like that's
It's not-
using the Xbox
okay.
branding for now. But
Sure.
I don't know. And then they have like they also have like announced a console, to be clear, that is going to be shitty and have Copilot on it and stuff. The way I see it, the person they put in charge of the Xbox gaming division doesn't play video games and is an AI like developer. You feel me?
I mean, yeah, seems plausible.
The future is bad.
What about Sony? What is Sony doing? What are we predicting there? Has anybody anything on the radar for them?
I can't even say new God of War because we already know that's happening.
I guess, but like, I'm wondering at this point, do we even get like truly major announcements in this industry anymore, or is that time kind of maybe not over, but not currently the moment for it?
If you're Nintendo or like a publisher, yeah, like Capcom and stuff, but now Sony's a bit of a different. Sony just doesn't have a balanced portfolio right now.
I mean, yeah.
They have too much meat, not enough potatoes.
But also, or maybe this is just my limited bubble or whatever, but I also have a feeling, especially with, I guess, the decline of monoculture and whatever the heck, maybe it is just that we are all moving to smaller, more personal stuff, and so the big announcements are just naturally kind of dying out, as we have experienced them in the past. Could that be a thing? Or am I just talking shit? I don't know right now.
I mean, like, I won't say it could not be a thing, but I think it's more that Sony just is focusing so much on super big budget titles that take like 6 years to develop that you can only announce so many at once.
Yeah.
Because
you can announce them again and again.
See, I don't think Sony wants to be Microsoft who keeps doing that. I think hopefully they're smart enough not to look at Microsoft and be like, I want some of that. But like you look at like Capcom. Capcom has just been putting out big announcement after big announcement for a long time. Hell, Konami's putting out a lot of big announcements. You know what I mean? Like a lot of publishers putting out big announcements. It's more Microsoft effectively doesn't exist, and Sony spends like $500 to make one Spider-Man, like $500 million to make one Spider-Man.
It costs a lot to pay those spiders that make up the man, so yeah, I get it.
I mean, think about how many spiders it has to be by volume.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's my point.
That's a truly be like a prodigious. I think we'll get some kind of major announcement. I kind of feel like they're going to put out some kind of platformer announcement in the next year or maybe year and a half or something. Because like they led off with like a Ratchet and Clank, and you know they were working with like they didn't fund like the Crash Bandicoot or Spyro stuff, but there was some work with. I know that's Activision, but I think those were originally Sony games. They did do work with Marvel at Tokon, which I can't say because it was announced. But it does make me wonder if there might be similar things in that regard. Like, kind of just like popping up with some developers who've been doing good and saying like, hey, you want to make something with this kind of thing? Which they'd be smart to do.
Mm-hmm. Sure, yeah.
Oh, we're going to get a new Mega Man from Capcom, obviously. I'm going to be excited for that.
I wonder what he's gonna do. What are we gonna predict for a boss? Everybody predict one Mega Man boss to be in a new game. I'm gonna say Pigeon Man.
I want Mega Man Soccer to return.
Yeah, let's get Mega Man Soccer in there. Let's go.
Fucking yeah.
That's my only connection to Mega Man, so.
And Mega Man Soccer helped us get to Toho Soccer.
What are you?
Yeah.
Huh? Wow, we lost the track here.
You know what I hope? It's not gonna happen. I'm just gonna say this is a hope. Capcom is releasing Mega Man Legends comic book. And I'm just saying, Mega Man Legends 3 still needs to finish the storyline. So I'm just saying, maybe there's still the tiniest shred of hope. Just a little.
Sure.
Also, my prediction for the next game is the one made vacuum design that is in the design contest voting. That's my prediction
Vacuum
for the
Man?
Robot Master.
Sucker Man?
I forget what they actually called it. I was trying to find it, and I can't find where it was.
My prediction is Big Man Blastoise. Mostly because I've never played
Big
a
Man
Mega Man game, and that's got man in the name, so that's the closest guess I could make.
Oh, yeah. I feel like that might be unlikely, but we'll see.
It's the announcement that's going to revolutionize the gaming industry.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
You know what? Here's a real quick question, because we talked about all the major stuff. Is there anything in the indie sphere you expect or want in an announcement?
That I expect or want. I mean, there are a bunch of things. There are many things that I could not keep track of on the top of my head. That's why I have lists that keep track for me.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. Literally, the only reason I throw something on my wish list is like, you tell me when this happened.
Yeah.
Like,
But if you're going like by things that are not currently announced and we just hoping that they will be announced,
Yeah,
I'm still like I'm still like hoping for that the Ninja Gaiden 2D game isn't gonna stay a singular experience, that this will actually spawn more of that kind, and then I'm hoping for a sequel basically for that. It's one of the things I
Makes
got on my
sense.
mind.
Trying to think if there's any for me. I mean, I do hope, if I recall, Freedom Planet 2 left open stuff for Freedom Planet 3. That would be fun.
Oh, if we're going, like, a really unlikely one that I'm hoping for is that the 2000s racing game Split Second, or maybe 2010s, I'm not sure right now, that racing game with its open end that was very clearly teasing at a sequel, and that which never happened, that this will someday get a sort of revival where we get another Split Second. That will never happen, but I will never lose hope.
The one that had like the reality TV gimmick? Yeah.
With the whole gimmick where you could trigger like disaster around the track to destroy the environment. That was so cool.
I mean, that would be really awesome for an indie game or another studio to really put out there. You know what? Real quick, I would love a new Ridge Racer, and there have been rumors.
That would be dope. I would be totally there. That would actually might be like a funny tongue-in-cheek day one purchase, to be honest. I want them to know that we want Ridge Racer.
Yeah. Ridge Racer is real. I mean, I do kind of wonder, just really quick, if the fact Nintendo is putting out all these racing games that are successful and not just like Gran Turismo kind of games, if that does get anybody to kind of be like, maybe we can make a racing game that isn't just like simulation and actually have it be successful. Because I feel like that
One can
genre
only
just
hope,
has been in
yeah.
a slow spot for a long time.
Surely also because a racing game just lends itself to multiplayer stuff, and that's just what ends up being the focus if any big budget company decides to make a racing game.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I think we're right near the end. The only thing I would say as a quick thing is that Nintendo Switch announcement for me was also major, especially with Super Mario Odyssey. Because after the Wii U, it was just like, please be good. Please be good.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it was nice that they combined the two. I forgot about that. That I was waiting for the next handheld, and then they were like, "No, you're getting both of them at the same time."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a what?
It's a console that can be a handheld.
The death of handhelds in a way.
Yeah,
and this
that
seems
was
dope.
kind of a sadness for me also, but
Yeah. I mean, honestly,
I was a big game person, so I was mad when the DS took over, and
Really?
they were just
I
like, we're just
love
gonna
that.
stop doing.
Yeah,
And
DS will
like
always
I was
be
so
a
mad
favorite
because
for
I was
me.
like, no, but the Game Boy is like the original. I wanted to keep going. Like it can be its own thing. And they were like, no, the DSC is here,
Oh.
whatever.
I'm
And
also a
then-
big Game Boy Advance guy, so I can relate. But the DS was cool.
Yeah.
The Advance is perfect. That is the best platform of all time.
It is
Especially the
very
Game Boy Advance SP.
Yeah,
I gotta say, I
That's the
prefer
one
the
that
regular Game Boy Advance because of its form factor.
form factor. Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
I just
No,
love
but
the little
the
folding screen
SP
and the
had the
backlight.
backlight. That was the
The
best
backlight
thing.
is huge, yeah.
Best way.
Yeah.
Well, I
That was an
literally
announce.
purchased like, those little accessories that you would snap onto the top of the Game Boy Advance and shine
That
a
Yeah.
takes
light
me
down
back.
so
That
you
Light
takes me
Boy.
back
can
many a
better-
car ride
The
at
Light
night
Boy,
with a
yeah.
little light.
Yeah,
I think
that
I
shit
didn't even get a Light Boy.
sucked.
I think I got like an off-brand.
Yeah,
I used to
probably, me
only be
too.
able to play the Game Boy at like a stoplight or whatever, whenever like because like I had like the light from the street light. I was like, okay, cool, play. Okay, now I gotta pause it because I can't see.
Isn't
Oh
it
my
an oddly
God.
fun
So
memory
Game
to
Boy,
do that?
huh?
Is it like an oddly fun memory to have that kind of thing?
Yeah.
It's fun to reminisce about it. I don't miss actually doing it.
Yeah.
I
The
think
nostalgia really glossed over the bad parts of it, but yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, but we had all the accessories. We had like the Light Boy and we had the battery pack. Like every time I went somewhere, I had like a whole case of stuff. Like,
Did you have
just
like
to
the
play
little
games on the road.
like cover
You had to
you
have
could
extra
fold on
batteries
top?
because the batteries would die. Like nonsense.
The fucking batteries.
Yeah.
I was going to say, best way to play Game Boy Advance nowadays is to get the original, but modify the screen so that it has a backlight, like
Yeah.
an LED screen pop in. And that I really want that one day.
I used to have a brick Game Boy with modded backlit screen. That was epic.
I love
Yeah.
such a fusion of old and new technology.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be the next announcement. They're bringing back the original Game Boy into production with LED screens. Who can say?
That wouldn't even be that shocking to me after Virtual Boy stuff. That just seems like another Tuesday, honestly.
And like the way that they've brought back the old controllers for like NES
Yeah.
or SNES Online. I could see them doing a re-release of the
Yeah.
Game Boy with a backlight.
That's true, actually. Honestly, real quick, the Virtual Boy NSO announcement was fucking crazy because who the fuck re-releases the Virtual Boy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have said before that was the
Well,
most
that's what I
exciting
feel-
thing Nintendo did in years.
Yeah, like they're not.
That's why I feel-
You're not closed when you release the Virtual Boy NSO.
Yeah. That's why I feel like anything can happen with Nintendo now, where it's like we got Virtual Boy back. Like
Yeah.
at this point, I don't know what they're cooking up.
I guess so. Maybe get an
Like, I didn't think we were
Gym
gonna
4
get
finally.
an open world Mario Kart either, and we got that. Like,
Yeah.
who saw that coming?
But that, I don't know. Open world is such a tired fucking buzzword. I feel like that's not even that innovative.
No,
but
it's
we
not
didn't say
innovative, really.
We were talking about expectedness, not innovation.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I didn't.
What if Zero was open world?
If you ask me what the next thing to be open world, my guess was never going to be Mario Kart. Like,
Open world Cooking Mama incoming.
I mean, I probably would have expected Kirby Air Ride to be the open world game because City Trial. You know?
Sure, yeah. But Kirby Air Ride is more than just City Trial.
It is. I mean, Kirby Air Riders look sick.
Yeah.
The one day I can afford a Switch too. I don't know. Get to try it out.
Well, for now, should we move on to the collection game? The biggest announcement of this episode, we are playing the collection game. We shall play another round of the Untitled collection game. Essentially, I will use the How Long to Beats, the website's randomizer ability to pull a random collection that some user made. I will announce the title creator and amount of games on that list, and essentially my co-hosts will, one after the another, try to guess the games that are on this list for points. I have pulled a list titled Games Represented in Kingdom Hearts, created by R2D2 1999.
Oh.
It has
that's
47 video games in it. Would any of you like to use their free video for a new list?
Give me a
pull?
moment to think. Because on
Yeah,
the
I'm
one
also
hand,
thinking
I'm
about
a
this
big
one.
Kingdom Hearts guy. Like, I'm a big Kingdom Hearts guy. But God, like what games are represented?
Mm-hmm.
I guess
Great.
it's not necessarily games, but like the franchise, the movies or shows that are.
That's what I'm
have
thinking. It's gonna be
games
like
to
the
go with
Disney
it.
stuff, and I'm not gonna be sure what specifically the titles are gonna be. I am
Right.
gonna veto it. I think I'm gonna
I
swap it
support
around.
this. This is very like close to being super up my alley, but again, I would have the same trouble. Like I know the movies and the franchises that are involved, but I couldn't name the actual video games that are tied to
Exactly.
those.
I can say that list had a lot
because-
of Final Fantasy on it.
Oh, I didn't even
Oh
think
yeah,
about
I
that.
guess
I
Final
didn't even
Fantasy
think about that.
VII.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
well, too late.
But like, what Tron game would they include? The new Tron game? Like, you know, like is
I
it
don't
gonna be
even
like
think.
an Alice in Wonderland game?
Okay, I got a great one here.
Oh no.
This one is created by a user called Monkey D Gamer. The title of the
Oh
list:
man.
Games that I enjoyed so much but are so fucking frustrating at times. It contains
God.
24 titles.
Alright, well I can't use a veto. What do you two think?
I mean,
This
unless
could be-
Leah wants to do the honors, I'm vetoing this. Like, I'm sorry, Monkey D Gamer. I don't know what you played.
Yeah. That's
We are
fair.
not
It has
Monkey
Half-Life
D
and
Gamer.
Silent Hill and Mirror's Edge. Just a bunch of good
Yeah,
stuff.
I wouldn't
All
have
right.
guessed Half-Life. For example.
25 games.
4 times the
Monkey
charm.
Game Joys.
Oh no.
A list by a user Yellow Vial, the title of which is the Zevzentag trademarked collection. This is I'm gonna give you context that I can see. This Zevzentag is apparently a content creator, and this is a list of games that they might have done something with.
That they streamed?
I'm not gonna say anything more.
No, I'm
And-
vetoing this.
Thank you. Save us.
So every free veto has been used. This
Alright,
means
whatever it is, we're stuck with.
whatever comes in now is gonna be it.
It's gonna be something.
We should have just stuck with
terrible.
Kingdom Hearts.
I mean,
Yeah, wouldn't that
we
have
probably
been
should have,
nice?
honestly. Oh well.
Oh my god, dog. So we now have the fourth list is by a user called St. Louis 117. The title of which is 1999 EUNA.
That actually might not be bad.
It contains 102 games.
Alright.
I
Seems like a
mean,
pretty broad one, yeah.
It's just a matter of what games released in 1999. Right?
Potentially, potentially.
But not in Asia.
Well, they didn't say not in Asia. They just have to release in NA and EU. We don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, well, first guess will be coming from Roy.
Silent Hill. That was 1999, I think.
That is correct. That is a point for Roy.
Alright, so it will include games released in Japan, because Silent Hill definitely released there.
It sure did. Now it is Diallo's turn.
Oh boy. I know this is vaguely around this time. I don't know if it's 1999 or not, but I'm gonna go and guess Super Smash Brothers.
Let us see. Do we have
I don't
Super
think that's
Smash
99, but
Brothers?
might be.
It is on the list. So that is a point for Diallo.
99, not 98. Alright.
I mean, the user
That's
could also
fine.
just be making a
Away in
mistake.
real time.
It'd be like a total
probably.
misnomer. Just a collection of their favorite games. Just from any old year.
No,
funny.
it's 99. I just checked.
Yeah.
It was January.
Alright, Leo.
99, that's why I was.
What's your first guess, Leo?
Pokemon Stadium?
Oh, those
Interesting.
Yeah, because Q, I think, is
Okay.
in 2000.
Pokemon Stadium. Pokemon Stadium is not on the list. Alright, it's back to Roy.
Star Fox 64. I don't remember if that's 98 or 99. Might even be earlier, actually. Whatever.
Do we have Star Fox 64? We do not have Star Fox 64,
None. So that's the one on me.
unfortunately. Yup.
Alright.
Diallo.
I am going to guess Donkey Kong 64.
Another 64. What was up
Oh,
with that
that might
number?
be it.
Because I remember I
Gee,
got
I
it for
wonder.
Christmas in the year
Oh.
2000, so hopefully it was out by 1999.
1999. Okay.
Oh my god. And 1999 had some interesting games, I can tell you that much. Donkey Kong 64 not among them, at least according to this list.
Bummer.
Alright.
So, Leah, back to you.
99. Wave Race 64?
Oh, I could only hope. That's a pretty good game.
We were
Uh,
on the
Yeah.
yeah. Unfortunately,
I don't remember what
Wave
was happening in
Race
the other console.
64 is
Alright,
not
we've
on
all
the
lived
list.
on the 64 game, so I've gotta go somewhere else.
Now you gotta continue.
So since Spyro 1, I believe, came out in 98, I'm gonna say Spyro 2. Which is, and it's not Spyro the Dragon 2, the title is Spyro 2. I believe.
And it is the superior game in the series, so Spyro 2
just type it.
is on the list. That is correct.
Alright.
Ooh.
I
Diallo?
remembered my Spyro 1 well enough.
Do I guess? I'm gonna guess Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask.
Legend of
Mm.
Zelda. Majora's
I think that's 2000.
I think it might be 2000. I feel like I know it released like very soon after Ocarina of
Yeah.
Time. I think it might be 2000, but
Whatever it might be, it is not on this list. So, choose wisely. This might be your last guess.
Yeah, it will be because it's not going to be on there.
It's like you've not been alive in 1999. What's up?
That's the thing. I can only remember like my sophomore year. I'm just telling my age here. But, like, I cannot
I
remember
either-
what.
I'm trying to either use context clues or just remember like it was on the PS1 Nintendo 64 around that
That's
time.
what I'm trying to remember. But that was a very 99, 2000, 2001 are like the same to me. So I'm like
Yeah, I couldn't tell you any of these either.
damn. That can't have been 99. Maybe?
Only one way to find out.
Twisted Metal 2.
Twisted Metal 2.
Yeah.
Ooh, in specific, the
I do
Twisted
remember
Metal.
playing some of those games as a kid because my mom didn't realize how because my uncle owned them and my mom did not realize they were rated like way more mature than I should have been playing.
Yeah, I could see how that happens with those games. Yeah. Unfortunately, it is not on the list. So, Leah, you are out with 0 points.
Ooh.
Roy.
How, I have like 2 wrong guesses left, right?
Correct. Yep.
I'll try Toy Story 2. I'm not
man.
feeling as confident in that one, but I have a little bit of room.
What a masterpiece. But I have a feeling that is in the 2000s. Either way, it is not actually. Oh no! Yeah, you got it. It's on the list. It's right there.
Oh!
Nice.
What the hell?
God damn. Diallo.
Alrighty, so up to now, I have been guessing console games, and I'm going to change my strategy this time around and
Ooh.
try to guess a handheld game. And the handheld game that I'm going to guess is Pokemon Yellow.
Oh, I think that might
you-
be right. That's either 98 or 99.
That seems like it, yeah.
Diallo is correct. It is on the list. That's the point.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it's back to Roy.
Let's see. What are the games that would be around then?
That stinking Pikachu.
Pikachu. Valkyrie profile.
Now, what the frick is that, Roy?
It is an RPG on the PS1, which I remember being interested in playing. I think it's either like 2000 or 1999.
Definitely not on this list, homie.
Oh, really?
So,
Alright.
yeah. So it's
Yeah.
back to Diallo.
Oh, I wonder if it didn't release in EU.
Or it might not have been on this guy's radar, who knows? Yeah, Diallo.
That's true.
Gotta think a little bit.
Yeah.
I was thinking. This is not my guess because I'm pretty sure this is wrong. I was thinking of like Resident Evil, but I think that came out in the early 2000s. So not that.
What? Okay.
What are games?
I ask
Our
myself
games.
that every day.
Really?
Yeah.
What are games?
What are games?
I'm trying to think of stuff that I played on the Game Boy, but right now I can only think of like Pac-Man and Pokemon, and I know we already got a Pokemon game on there. What? Oh, you know? Ooh, I feel like there should be a Mario Party somewhere on. You know what? This one's too niche. I was gonna say Glover, but I feel like that's too niche. We're gonna skip that. I think I'm gonna go.
You
I think the whole
love
world
it.
loves Glover. Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like it's not gonna be on the list. I'm gonna guess Mario Party 3.
Oh, that might be there.
Wow, yeah. The fact that you had to pull a specific number, let's see if that's...
I mean, it's
this
the
is me
best
guessing.
Unfortunately, it is not on the list.
Bummer.
Alright. Well, you know what? I'm
It is
gonna take a
Diallo
guess
out.
because
Mm.
Diallo talking about that made me think that if I recall, Pokemon Gold and Silver came out the same year as Pokemon Yellow. So I'm actually gonna guess Pokemon Gold or Silver, whichever one will be on the
Is that so? That would be weird. Because I had gold, yellow, and then had to wait for silver and gold. It is not on this list.
Yeah.
So
Damn.
The reason
Alright.
that I guessed yellow specifically is because I remember that gold was 2000 or like yeah.
that checks out. Yeah.
Because I was in
Now,
third
I,
grade.
now I gotta look it up. I could have sworn that like one was earlier in the year and one was later.
That would be a crazy year.
Is that my last
But I have.
out? I think so.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Sorry. Yeah.
damn it.
Everybody's out.
It came out in 1999 in Japan.
Yep. That checks out.
So I probably
Well.
have seen that at some point in the past and thought that.
Yeah.
And then I
I could
conflated it
see
while
that.
we're doing it.
So the game ends with no extra points for Leah. Diallo gets 2 points on a score, and Roy gets 3 plus the 3 bonus points for winning the game for a total of 6 extra points on the score. So Roy was already number 1, keeps being number 1 with 24 points total. Leah, despite not getting any extra points, still on second place with 17 points. I am on third place with 15, and Diallo now with 13 points on the board.
Woo, lucky number
Come back.
13.
Ooh. Matt, I gotta ask. I was thinking really
Yeah.
hard before Diallo said that I was gonna say Mario Golf. Is Mario Golf on there?
I don't think there were. I'm looking, but I don't think there was any Mario actually. Hold on. No, there's literally 0 Mario on this list.
Alright. So I was losing there no matter what. Can't be too upset though, 6 points is juicy.
Yeah.
Other
yeah.
game I was thinking of for 1999 was Pokemon Pinball, but I was like, maybe having Pinball and Yellow in the same year would be too much.
That is correct though. Pokemon Pinball is on here. I noticed that. There's a lot of Pokemon on
I
here.
should have trusted my first instinct.
I also
Just
liked when
trusted
you
in the
said you were
pinball.
playing Pac-Man, and there is multiple Pac-Man games on here. It would have been
In
crazy
99,
if
I
you
was
got
definitely
one.
playing it. I was playing it way before 99.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? Here's the problem, Matt. How do you guess the correct Pac-Man game title?
Yeah, that would have been amazing. I would have maybe given an extra point for that.
I assume it's like Pac-Man Arcade Collection Volume 1 and shit.
It's actually Pac-Man Special Color Edition, which is also a very good name.
Yeah, like,
totally.
fuck if I'm guessing that. What is
Yeah.
what would Special Color Edition be, though?
It's just on the Game Boy Color. I think it's the regular Pac-Man on the Game Boy Color, honestly.
Pac-Man's blue instead of yellow.
Maybe this is something worth emulating. Anyway,
Yeah, the last announcement we have for the episode is that the episode is ending. If you have any announcements you're looking forward to, or that were meaningful to you, or that you expect to see in the future, let us know.
Also, please let us know where you stand on the side of the F-Zero debate. Do you think we're getting more
Oh my
F-Zero or
gosh.
not? We
Yeah.
need to hear it in the comments.
Yes or no? Will F-Zero come out like a new game and not a re-release or something during, say, the Switch 2 generation? Inquiring minds want to know.
zero chance for F-Zero, dog. It's in the name.
F-Zero chance. And hey, maybe you have opinions on Ridge Racer Type 4 or Gran Turismo or Bird Stickers. Who knows? Whatever the case, let us know in the comments. And who knows, maybe even played the collection game along with us and actually did not test Mario's off. Anyway, bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.